All right. All right, folks, welcome back. We're getting ready to go into the bracket play. That means we're looking at the top 16. The story of the tournament continues to be Dromm. We're looking at 10 of the top 16 are Dromm. We're going to see one of them right now. We've got Mads from Denmark rocking Dromm. His only loss out of his 6 matches so far has been in the mirror. Meanwhile, we have Alessandro playing Khagra's Ravagers, representing Italy. And he has a 4-2 record, 2 losses to Dromm.
Notably does have a victory over a Dromm,
Yep.
so we know he can do it. However, one of those 2 Dromm losses was to Mads, so this will be a rematch of the first game they played in the tournament, where Mads did come out on top. So we'll see if Alessandro was able to take any lessons from that match and apply them here to different results.
We were hearing as we run into some of the players. I heard very early on in the tournament. I'm going to try and remember which British player, but one of the English players came by and it says, "You need to get Alessandro on stream. That guy is really."
We were told
good.
that on day 1 and again on day 2.
Yep.
And,
so we've
finally gotten around to it.
Yeah, we've had it tagged for a little while. Thanks for bearing with us. I know this is starting about half an hour later. There was one game that had some logistical issues that had to get sorted out. Those are all resolved, and both those players actually advanced into the top 16 anyhow.
There was a whole snafu, but in the end, it actually didn't matter because both players were advancing to the top bracket. You can now go view that top bracket on Best Coast Pairings if you're interested in seeing who made the top 16 cut, who is paired into who, and those players who did not make the top 16 are still playing in the Worlds bracket and have the capacity to score points for their nation. So that, again, as we've said multiple times, every match does matter. So follow along on Best Coast Pairings as well as on the Warhammer website in order to track the countries that you care most about, or stay here and watch this, what's likely to be an excellent game.
I would imagine so. We're taking a quick look at how these players got here. Alessandro won the San Marino Championship, got his ticket that way, and Mads he had the runner-up, and he got a ticket that passed down to him. It was won by Honest with Wormspat. And we actually had Honest on the What the Hex podcast, had a great conversation with him. So that is the route that these folks took to get here to Worlds. And we've already talked about the records, how they managed to get into this bracket. As opposed to last year where it was a double elimination bracket, this is lose and you're not done. You got to keep playing for country pride, but your route to the overall championship has been curtailed.
Yeah, so we did a top 16 this year instead of a top 8 double elimination. There is one 16-man bracket, single elimination to a single world champion this year. So every game in this top bracket will matter quite substantially. Let's take a look at the pairings, Davey.
Sure. We've got Mads is. I asked him what his pairing was, and he said the Dromm one. He said I'm not sure about the name of it. And Blazing Assault. Reckless Fury.
Yes.
What is Khagra bringing?
So Khagra is bringing Emberstone Sentinels and Countdown to Cataclysm. So we did see a Khagra on this stream earlier. That was an Emberstone Sentinels and a Pillage and Plunder combination.
I believe that's correct.
So likely less focus on delving out of Alessandro, and that does mean Desecration sticks around for longer. There are still some positional and hold objective flavor objectives in Countdown to Cataclysm, and knowing the Mads is going to be coming at him hot and fast, trying to eliminate those fighters, his tracker will likely be advancing. So several different play angles from the last Khagra's match. I'm interested to see how Alessandro leverages that second deck.
Yep. Worth noting that Zach, I believe, did make the top 16. I might be wrong about that. We'll take a quick look here, but that would be 2 Khagras having gotten through, if that is correct. It appears that is not correct.
Okay,
I think I saw a pie chart that was a little premature. So this is the only Khagras that got through.
Okay. Well, players are shuffling their decks, preparing to make their cut. Let's jump over to the table and watch the action. I see already in the chat several national fans of both players. And not speaking either of their languages, I'm going to have to just guess these are all positive things.
Kalen wishing you were sporting a mustache. Have you ever sported a mustache?
I have.
Yeah?
For a short time during COVID, I was able to fit one under an N95 for a little while. I did the No Shave November, and I let it run for the month, prostate cancer charity and all that stuff. And my wife told me that she wasn't going to make me shave it, but she'd really prefer if I did. So that lasted for, a couple of weeks.
That's usually when mine goes, is when there's some intervention from.
I end up getting a bit of that like tooth comb, like fat cop kind of mustache. It really doesn't look good on the rest of my face. So unfortunately, it's probably not in the cards for me. So we'll have to let you carry the facial hair game. All right. Judges confirmed that they are good to start. So we are live, coming to you from Atlanta, the World Championships of Warhammer, the Warhammer Underworlds Top 16 Championship bracket. Win the next 4 matches, and you find yourself World Champion of Warhammer Underworlds. Today's match, again, for those who are joining us a little bit late, is Mads from Denmark playing against Alessandro from Italy. These two have played each other before in this event. At the very first round, Mads did come away with that one, but Alessandro has since defeated another Gorechosen of Dromm player, so we know he can do it, and we'll see if he can do it again today. To refresh people on the War Scroll abilities for these two warbands, Gorechosen of Dromm have multiple things tied to their Blood Tithe mechanic. They gain Blood Tithe when they deal damage or when they take damage, and they can then spend those to enrage a fighter, allowing them to charge out of sequence. They can Call of Blood, pulling fighters closer to each other, or they can use a thing called Final Frenzy, where you spend some those Blood Tithe tokens and have a chance to heal up when you should have been slain. Alessandro has Khagra's Ravagers. She focuses on desecrating feature tokens when they are on the treasure side. That is done by either slaying a fighter on a token, slaying a fighter while you are on a token, or in a power step while on a token, going and taking that in the place of playing a power step. That token remains desecrated until flipped by either player. And the more desecration tokens you have, the more powerful your War Scroll abilities are. 2 of them, one says draw cards equal to your desecration value, and the other one says push a fighter equal to your desecration value during the power step. The third War Scroll ability does not care for desecration, and is simply a +1 dice when attacking a target on a token, or +1 dice on defense when standing on a token once per game. The Warband inspires when they have 2 or more desecrated tokens in an end phase, and Gorechosen inspires at any point if they reach 8 or more Blood Tithe counters. So we'll see how much Alessandro wants to hold tokens and how much he doesn't want to hurt Dromm to slow down that inspiration, or if he's willing to just go all out and see if he can't take the Gorechosen down early.
And we have seen those inspired profiles from Khagra's are quite powerful. They
Yes.
have some substantial defensive buffs. I think I've seen 2 strategies so far in this tournament. Obviously, with this many Dromm in the top 16, they've only been of limited success. Some folks have found some success by avoiding attacking Dromm, avoiding giving any extra Blood Tithe any more than they have to, and keeping at least those profiles in the uninspired side. And others have done it by managing to blitz down a fighter fast enough.
Yeah. Generally speaking, you want to take down Dromm himself or the Gore Hulk if you can, because they both give up 3 bounty. The Gore Hulk is probably the more dangerous of the 2, but Dromm is no slouch himself.
That's true.
If you can take one of those fighters out, you get yourself 3 bounty and protect yourself a bit from that offensive output. However, the more times that you harm them without slaying them, the more Blood Tithe they accumulate. So some players have had success simply not attacking, staying away, and hoping that they miss those crucial early dice rolls so that they can get their own inspiration, operate under their own game plan, and make Dromm work really hard to inspire. Once Dromm has inspired, there's often little you can do. That said, as we mentioned before, Khagra's defensive profiles, when inspired, remarkably resilient. And so if anyone's able to weather a Gorechosen assault, it may actually be the Ravagers.
We see Zarshe coming down first. That's a 1 bounty fighter for Khagra's Ravagers. Looks like the treasure tokens are very heavily in Khagra's territory. I think we know where a lot of the game is going to be played. Perhaps Mads being uninterested in having to turn around and come back the other direction.
True. Now, Emberstone Sentinels does have a couple cards that will incentivize Alessandro to go into enemy territory, but there's only 1 token in there he has to worry about. So we'll see if Mads decides to leave someone near that in the midfield to defend it, or if he's going to commit fully to diving in and taking out Khagra before she becomes a problem.
With fairly decent attack profiles, I think it can often be pretty tempting attack with Khagra's. It'd be interesting how much he chooses to forego those, not only for preventing the Inspire because of Blood Tithe, but also counteracting what we have to assume are some of those everybody has charged style objectives in Reckless Fury.
Yes. Yeah, if you can have at least one fighter with move instead of charge, then perhaps he can take care of things that way. Not being paired with Pillage and Plunder, he does not have the card that says you made your second or subsequent attack without making a charge. So a little less incentive for Alessandro to hold off on the gasp there, but he may have to in order to counterplay some of those Reckless Fury charge-related cards.
Let's see how aggressive Mads is intending to be. Yep.
That makes sense. Like we talked about, that Treasure Token 3 may be pivotal to his plan, and the Gorehulk being within charge range of 3 fighters to start the game. Oh, Mads rolling a sword.
Mads will be the yellow dice, and Alessandro will be the red. Federico calling out his perhaps countrymates. Certainly he says they're the 3 best players he knows. And all of the Italians who came to Worlds made the cut.
Yeah, that's true. Italy has been quite impressive in the group stages, taking down some strong players, some famous players, some potent warband combinations. The national win rate for Italy in the pool stage was, I believe, the highest of any nation.
Certainly when we saw it. And here we go. We're going with the classic Dromm charging right away.
It's worth noting that Zarcia is 4 health, but only 1 dodge.
And so Mads has to be hoping to generate Blood Tithe right away and maybe get a second charge. I think that is...
Twist the knife.
Twist the knife.
So should he succeed here, he will have slain Khagra. I mean, Zarcia. And he has rolled himself no successes there. So kind of a rough start for Mads. He is not able to generate that Blood Tithe and therefore not able to do that second charge just yet. And not taking out a piece of Alessandro's force.
Alessandro really needed something like that to happen. He'll still be looking for that 1 Blood Tithe. As soon as the second Blood Tithe or 1 Blood Tithe comes out, then the
game begins to snowball.
Yeah, Enrage.
Alessandro taking his action to move on to the rear treasure token and desecrate it immediately. He does not have a charge token, so he is making things a little harder for Dromm and working on his own inspiration and his own War Scroll abilities. Dromm using Commanding Stride to find himself in the middle of enemy territory.
Commanding Stride, really great card. Seeing even decks that I don't expect to take it have been including it.
I think that if you take Reckless Fury, I mean, if you take Blazing Assault or if you're taking Emberstone Sentinels, you want that card.
Amazing. Violent Blast. He's already got the token desecrated.
He doesn't need to hold it unless he has an objective. But yeah, for the purposes of inspiration and a few War Scroll abilities, the Desecration seals that deal and takes Dromm a little bit more out of the picture. Excellent counterplay from Alessandro.
Two actions in from each player. No glory yet. There's been times where we've seen 2 or 3 glory pretty early on.
Yeah. I mean, missing the first attack and then the second player using a move action does slow that down a bit. So I think the trick for Alessandro is going to be focus on his game plan and be okay with winning a low glory count instead of trying to race to a high one, because as we've seen so far this event, it's kind of hard to outpace Gorechosen if you're going toe-to-toe.
We last saw Gorechosen on the stream on our very first match, and that was in a Spikeclaws matchup. Spikeclaw taking that first game, I think. At least taking one in the match.
Diego came back to win it. Diego actually did make the top cut as well, so good for him, and glad to see Chileans represented on the top 16 stage.
Oh my goodness. Oh, there is a crit in
there. That is a crit and 2 holes, but a crit on defense as well, which makes it a draw. So excellent roll again from Alessandro. Things are looking good for him now. That's 2 attacks in a row that have missed.
There is a critical in that roll, though.
Critical effort, so Mads does score. He does not have to be successful. He rolled a critical in an attack, placing his surged objective off to the side. Excellent sportsmanship. Does drive back because it was a draw, and Alessandro cannot stand fast because he did not have more criticals.
You may notice up, we're going to call it just above as the screen sits. There's a dice and a small counter that are above the Khagra's War Scroll. Those are the countdown trackers. The small dial is going to track the Cataclysm count, and the dice is going to track the Cataclysm value.
Yes. So currently only on a Cataclysm value of 1. But later in the game, should Cataclysm cards come into play, that black die will indicate how far along that slider that Alessandro has moved.
Alessandro onto a second action, grabbing that treasure token 3.
Moving with Kragan. No, that is Khagra herself. Just a move and has desecrated that token. So he now has 2 desecrated tokens, and that will secure and inspire for him unless Mads can get on there and clear them off.
I do see a route for Mads to at least make it a little harder. I suspect we may see a Dromm charge onto treasure token 4.
And if he does that and delves it, then that will make sure that we have to get a second desecration somewhere out of Alessandro.
We're going to see Call of Blood.
That was Call of Blood, so Alessandro spending his blood tithe.
It'd be Mads spending blood tithe.
My apologies.
It doesn't need to spend any of that because there was just a 1 hex push for each.
It's a 0 to 2. Yep. So for those who haven't looked at it today, you can spend 0 blood tithe to use it, but if you spend 1, you can push one of the fighters 2 hexes instead of 1, and if you spend 2, you can push both fighters 2 hexes. They must end adjacent. So Mads using the 0 blood tithe version, where he had no blood tithe. Explaining that over there to Alessandro now as well. He was able to use that and pull himself in, so he doesn't need the charge to make an attack. And he's applying accurate to Dromm. So Dromm will have a reroll on this, and Zarsha is flanked. So she's in a bit of a tight spot here on 1 dodge.
Now, Alessandro electing not to use the War Scroll ability to push her
out of the way.
That's 2 successes.
So she'll need a critical to stand fast. Did not get it, so that'll be full damage out of Dromm there. 2. We'll see if he drives her back or leaves her there. I imagine that she'll stay right there. Alessandro may be opting to keep his push just in case he needs it last minute, because he is pairing with Emberstone Sentinels as well, so there are several hold objective related things he may want to secure. And a push to save Zarsha, who's only 1 bounty, he may not have seen as an efficient use of his resources. Blood Tithe has finally been obtained by Mads, so he has 1. We're now in a world where we can have a second Gorehulk charge.
I see Dromm has got really kind of an incredible position there. Zarsha would probably love to do double duty and run out of there onto a treasure token. However, if she does so, any of the treasure tokens she can reach are going to be in range of somebody, and 3 of them are in range of Dromm. Let's see what he goes. I think it's got to be Zarsha getting out of trouble, but we'll find out. Yeah.
You're right. So opting to take treasure token 1. That may be because of an Emberstone Sentinels card called Slow Advance, where you have to hold 1 in neutral territory, and there is only 1 token in neutral territory.
And Zarsha is going to make an attack back on Dromm here. He's going to risk giving extra blood tithe.
Using to make her range 2 attack.
She has a range 2 and she has a range 3, and they're just demonstrating which attack. He has to be hitting Dromm.
Important to clarify this before the roll. 2 hammers. And no successes on defense. So blood tithe is gained, but damage is dealt. She only does 1, but able to push Dromm out of position there, so he cannot punch back without charging.
Got a 3rd desecration there. Could go for the card draw. I don't know if there's anything he particularly wants without any glory, any upgrades.
Doesn't have the glory to spend on the upgrades, though some ploys could help him. That said, this late in the round, you may want to save it for later if you think you can keep 2 to 3 desecrations.
I think so.
There is an angle where he could actually move through a Kragan onto a token 5, desecrate that as well, and may be able to start the next round with 4 card draw.
Wow. 1 more activation from Dromm. However, Enrage is still possible.
Enrage is still possible, so we may see a charge followed by a charge here.
I have heard of Dromm players using that. That Enrage is actually possible to be used on the opponent.
It is. So should he need it for something like Arena Mortis, he could force one of those players to charge.
Additionally, as part of a move, you must end in a charge as a move and attack. You must end on a different spot than you started. So he can use it as a tool to pull somebody off a treasure token if he thinks there's a score that's going to come off from that. Little confusion, language barrier that there was starting to advance onto that fourth activation, but I think Alessandro still wants to do something in his power step.
No. He is choosing to use... Oh, no, that was just writing the token. Never mind.
Yep.
Doesn't appear any war scroll abilities have yet been used. He may have just been saying, I can do this.
He is using Dark Approval, so he is going to draw one power card for each desecrated treasure token.
So, getting those cards now, helping him turn through his deck. Maybe there's something in there he's fishing for. One of the challenges of the World Tournament is everything's written in English, but both players have English as a second or even third language. So it's important to clarify these things so that every player knows what's happening. And now we have
healing
Alessandro
potion come
attempting
out.
to
Fully healing.
And now Zarsha back to full health, still on one dodge, but a lot more work now to do for the Gorechosen to finish her off.
I wonder if Alessandro drew into that healing potion. If he did, that's got to feel pretty good.
I would imagine that he was fishing for something to choose to do it now instead of later. And if that's the card that he needed and the card that he got, he's probably feeling pretty happy that he did that. Matt's about to take his fourth and final activation of the round. Remember, he has not used the Enrage ability. Dromm charging in here. Probably trying to put some damage back onto Zarsha. If he hits, he can Enrage to have someone else see if they can't finish her off.
We're 2 hammers into 1 dodge. We're a little bit better than 50-50 on that.
I'll read that up for you. 2 hammers running into 1 dodge is a 58.33% chance. So a little better than average. Davy's instincts remain keen. Matt's perhaps thinking better of it or seeing if there's a power card he wants to play prior to rolling.
If he has determined effort, he may be thinking about it. He's got to decide how badly he wants to get this initial damage on and follow up.
Notably, he has already spent and failed to make good use of Twist the Knife.
We got the Eye of the Gods is coming off on Zarsha here, so
she will gain an extra defense die for this.
Yeah.
And a reroll into, I believe that's a crit.
1 hammer,
but
I see.
2 crits on defense for Alessandro, flexing both biceps as he looks towards the commentator's table. The Italian's got to be feeling good about that. However, Shocking Assault is scored. Shocking Assault, a Reckless Fury card, I believe.
It's
I'm sorry,
that
is
Cataclysm, and he
has
to hold all the treasure in no one's territory.
After your opponent's action step, if your Warband holds all the treasure tokens in neutral territory, which at this time he does. So not only is that a missed attack for Mads, but it actually scores a surge for Alessandro. Powerful position to be in for him.
Everything
he has used 2 of his 3 War Scroll abilities now, so we'll see if that hurts him later in the game. But stopping the Gorechosen from being able to get that ball rolling is probably still a good use of that resource. Cataclysm card here being played. Dromm is selected. I'll find that card.
I'm fairly certain this is going to stagger Dromm. I think it's a stagger fighters equal to your
Cataclysm value. He selected Dromm, so Dromm now has a stagger token. So implying that we're going to be setting up for some kind of attack against Dromm here. Dromm does have 1 wound on him already. He is a 5 wound fighter. I don't know that Alessandro has the capacity to deal 4 just yet.
We're calling a judge. I think we may be just working through a...
Judge! All right, streamers, table, calling over a judge for some clarification. Here's some applause in the background. It appears that the French team has done quite well for themselves again, playing on one of the main tables.
We've seen what a big French celebration has done before, so hopefully we don't turn into Grand Central Station here again.
I believe that's the 40K table we're looking at over there, playing someone from Team Sweden. Brent's doing quite well across the course of the 4 games, I believe. French commentator's very happy right now, so I imagine that was a sealing the deal kind of thing for their national scoring.
We'd fill you in a little bit more on what the debate is, but we can't actually hear it all too well from here. So we're just going to let them go through it.
All right, we have a copy of the core rules pulled out now. Some judges are going to look over it. My assumption is the question being, shocking assault was scored as a surge immediately following an enemy activation. Then in the power step, he's playing a card, which does seem to be 2-second windows to me, and neither of them was an upgrade, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, they shouldn't overlap.
There must be something that I'm missing, because it seems clear to me, and the glory from that card isn't really relevant right now, so unclear what the debate is, but we will let you know when play resumes.
Are you sure what that we've identified the card correctly?
The card is Shocking Assault from
Countdown. No, I'm sorry, not Shocking Assault. The ploy.
The ploy being played now, again from Countdown to Cataclysm. The card, as best as I can see it, is Raging Tremors. Pick a number of enemy fighters up to your Cataclysm value, which starts at 1. So he can pick at least one fighter. He's chosen only one, and that fighter is Dromm. Give that fighter a stagger token. So no stagger token currently on Dromm, so maybe that's where the debate comes from.
Yeah, there's
a little conference of 3 different judges having a look over, making sure that now that we are in the top 16 bracket, it was important before to get the rulings right, but it's very important now as a single elimination to determine the world champion. Players now counting the Cataclysm tracker to find out what the value is. Possibly Alessandro was trying to stagger 2 fighters, and there's a debate over whether that's allowed.
Just clarifying what's the tracker and what's the value. I see them, Alessandro's flipping through the rule book, which tells me it's not something specific to Countdown to Cataclysm. And the
players were just discussing the difference between tracker and value. So that may have been the debate. And again, with different languages, these players may be operating under a different terminology for those that may not have translated as cleanly. All right, it appears we have a ruling. John Bracken coming over to tell the table what they've come to as a conclusion, the other 2 judges leaving. Feels a bit like if you ever watched NFL football.
Yeah.
Some judge looking in the camera and the rest of the audience, commentators included, wondering, well, I don't know what they're talking about and I don't know what they're going to say. We'll let you know as soon as we do. John Bracken being one of the designers of the game, part of the design team. If anyone's going to know what the intent of the rule set is, it's him. So he's one of the best people to answer this question, whatever it may be. I think I may understand it now. That charge may have been done with the Enrage ability. So it did not happen during an action. It happened in the power step. And Shocking Assault specifies after an opponent's activation. has not happened yet.
Well, I think part of the confusion there is that Mads is still sporting all his counters on there.
Yeah, so I'm not clear exactly what's happened. Okay, some agreement has been reached. Alessandro still has the glory, so perhaps he was able to score it after all.
I think the judge must have ruled because no token was pulled off that
it was not done in the power step.
Yeah.
Unclear if that was a miscommunication, a misplay, misinterpretation based on language, could be anything, but end result appears to be that as Alessandro appears to have intended, he scored the surge, and then in the power step he has staggered Dromm, and it should be Alessandro's activation now.
I'm not entirely sure what he's hoping to gain with this stagger. The only remaining fighter looks like to be Kragan?
Kragan, who has a move of 3, so wouldn't even be able to reach Dromm unless he has substantial movement ability.
Now, let's give a quick read of the last remaining War Scroll ability to be used from the
Khagra's. You can push a fighter up to a number of hexes equal to your desecration value. So he does have a play where you can push Kragan 3 hexes.
It has some
charge.
It has some limitation on where you can end. It must
end on a feature token or adjacent to an
enemy fighter.
So he has pushed himself 2, not the full 3.
So if he's not going to go in, maybe he's going to desecrate this.
Desecrate it in the power step before charging off of it. Maybe Alessandro's play here, giving him 4 desecration and nearly ensuring that he will be able to inspire at the end of this round. It does mean he'll have to charge into a flanked position, perhaps a surrounded position, but if inspiration is that important to Alessandro, then that is probably the right move to make, just in case there is anything token flipping or pushes left for Mads to do to counter him.
Mads going into the tank a little bit.
Mads contemplating if he wants to take any action in the power step. Looks like it's Alessandro's power, and as he did not desecrate that token before leaving, I don't know if that was a mistake.
Seems like it. I think
he
he's
only
probably
needs
pretty
the
safe.
2.
So,
but then why push into a surrounded position? I don't know exactly what it is that's going on, but an attack has been rolled. Kragan hits on swords. There is a reroll from the stagger, and we have
2 successes.
2 successes against Dromm, who has rolled 1 success, so not enough. That'll be 2 more damage on Dromm, but also 2 more blood tithe. One more
just
blood
the
tithe.
one more,
I'm apologizing. Kragan has hit Dromm. He is then going to give him brute momentum, or give it to Zarsha rather, so she cannot be driven back while she has a charge token.
Yep.
Meaning that she will remain on that token. So if he needs it for slow advance, which I imagine he does, that will secure that for him.
Mads making sure that Alessandro puts a charge token out. Currently, the only thing stopping an Arena Mortis is
Razik there with the move. So Enrage could be used on him to force that, though it would mean potentially the end of Dromm's day on the field.
Yeah. Dromm's only his Warband has only managed to land the 1 hit so far, and that's been fully healed with a timely healing potion.
Really kind of unfortunate
Underdog.
Scenario here for Mads.
We are spending. There's
spending one.
Yep, this is the Enrage.
And
Let's
Enrage
see
is
what's
coming,
going on.
so we'll see who he chooses. I think he's taking the Gorehulk, charging, and will be attempting to put some hurt on Razik back there, who is only a 3-wound fighter when uninspired. So if this lands, Razik is slain, and Arena Mortis is secured. So still a decent play here. All right, they both understand the stakes. Dice are rolled, and that is a critical success. 1 shield, not good enough. Mads pumping his fist in victory. That's 2 bounty for Mads, a blood tithe, and probably securing himself Arena Mortis. If he wants to delve that token and remove the Desecration, he can, but seeing as Alessandro's already played all of his War Scroll abilities, he doesn't need that Desecration for anything other than Inspire, which he has likely secured.
Strong Start just got scored as well. Got to feel a little rough for Alessandro. Everything was going great. It's just one of those attacks finally got through.
Yeah. That seems to be the story of the Dromm match. How many times can you survive those first round attacks? So far, he did really well until right at the end. He lost a fighter who, unfortunately for Alessandro, is very potent when inspired, and he'll never get the chance to see it this game. Mads intelligently delving that token in order to prevent, and then using Healing Potion on Dromm to take 1 off, so he's now 3 away from being slain. The only fighter who could put that damage on him once inspired is Khagra, and she's quite some distance away.
That's a big pickup. Dromm's carrying 3 bounty with him, and that's worth putting it out.
So, talking about how many things are held and not held for the purpose of Cataclysm Tracker, the Cataclysm value has now increased to 2. And 2 is kind of the break point for when Cataclysm cards start to become valuable. So, good for Alessandro in that sense, and he will inspire all of his fighters after this is done.
Mads picking up Bloody Momentum. That's a 2 glory. Also picking up Arena Mortis,
which was important for him to land that attack as a result. A nice 4 glory end phase for Mads, which looks pretty good for him. Already being in the lead and increasing it even further. Though we'll see exactly what has been scored. There's potential for Supremacy and Slow Advance for 5 out of Alessandro. And potentially more, depending on what other cards he may be holding. Oh.
Alessandro looking at his hand, which I'm assuming means that he hasn't scored anything, unless he's still waiting.
No, I think he's waiting for Mads to finish.
I see.
Deciding what upgrades to spend his glory on.
That makes sense.
Finishing the entirety of his end phase before moving on to Alessandro's scoring. So he holds Treasure Token. He has a Cataclysm-related hold objective card, and he has Slow Advance as predicted. So that is a 5 glory end phase. Supremacy has not yet been scored. Presumably he is taking it, so we could still see that come out later. Zarsha being worth only 1 bounty. But any 2 fighters out of his Warband could score Supremacy for him if they're both holding in an end phase.
This heavy cluster of treasure tokens all in this tight area is
kind of where the Gorechosen is going to want them.
Yeah. Well, these range 2 attackers with high damage, they are closing in on their Inspire.
At 5 now out of the 8 needed. He does have Final Frenzy to spend if he needs to keep Dromm alive. But failing that, and it will take at least 2 more attacks. He may Inspire prior to that happening.
Like Duelist might have come down on
Khagra has
Khagra.
Duelist and 1 other upgrade that I'm not sure what.
It's a 2 glory that gives some sort of reaction. I think it might be Agile. I can see a tail sticking out from there. I'm going with Agile. Reroll on defense, I think.
That would make sense. Khagra having 2 shield with a reroll is pretty potent. And then being able to push herself around after an activation with an attack. Swords do beat hammers, so Mads taking that roll off there. You have to imagine that he'll opt to go first.
Well, if Mads does not land that kill at the end, I think
it's a very different game in that case. Both players still scoring out their hands regardless, but things would look a lot different with a full health Razak inspired.
Well, I don't think Arena Mortis would have scored because
that's true. That's true. Yeah. That's also not only the 2 bounty, but the 2 glory from that card.
That was a 4 glory. That was a 5 glory kill because it got the 2 bounty. It got Strong Start, and it got Arena Mortis.
So yeah,
huge,
very impactful. Desecration tokens are on the field, but no longer relevant for Inspiration or War Scroll abilities, so other than for Emberstone Sentinels objective cards, Alessandro does not need to stay on those tokens much longer.
A call over the intercom for literally any kill team, Judge. Oof, this is a crit and a success.
Yeah, tough spot because Kragan is only on 1 defense die, so he could perhaps stand fast. Kragan sporting an upgrade, but I'm not sure what it is. Looks like he just took the 2 damage.
He has great fortitude on.
Rolling a defense.
So he rolled the dice. He could no longer stand fast, but because of the crit and the success, but it does present the opportunity for an overrun, theoretically.
That a Blazing Assault objective, and a judge is being called again. Let's see what the question is. I believe that card is Get Stuck In. Get Stuck In saying, score this immediately after a friendly fighter's attack if the target was in enemy territory. And as far as I can tell, the answer to that is yes.
Yeah.
That should be scored, though. There's some clarification occurring here.
I'm wondering if there's a translation issue where target being in enemy territory, is it enemy to the target or enemy to the player with the card?
That could be one clarification point. I believe it's always from the perspective of the player whose card it is. So my understanding is getting stuck into the enemy territory, this would meet that condition rules as intended in English, but we'll have to see what the judges say. High stakes this early in the game.
Yeah, these players are going to start running into some clock issues too. We're about 40 minutes in, and we're in our first activation of the second round, which will update our tracker.
We have a couple of Italian hand gestures in the chat. We have fans of both nations here giving out support to their representatives. I believe Denmark has 2 competitors and Italy has 3 in this top bracket. So no matter the result of this match, both nations have something to play for.
If the target was in enemy territory, I was wondering if the issue is that if he drives him back out of...
he'd still be in enemy territory. Maybe that's the discussion.
Yeah,
because I think it's pretty clear that both fighters are in enemy territory. So the discussion may be, am I allowed to drive back? And if so, do I no longer score this? Yes, after the drive back, I just heard that from the table. So that is the nature of the question. Can he drive back and still score the card?
the actual judge we have in here is John Bracken. So I think we managed to interpolate correctly that the question about was whether the drive back would negate that scoring, and it does not. Which means that Mads will hop up to 9.
Mads playing a power card, diving in, so you can push someone 2 hexes to be adjacent to someone with the charge token. So the Gorehulk now diving in.
Interesting to do that right after an attack. It was just.
Well, he needed to have the charge token, but yeah, you would want to do that perhaps to provide a surrounded result if someone were to attack.
Sure.
Because there is the opportunity for Khagra to charge in here with her Grievous and potentially kill Dromm. So my assumption is that we're hedging against that outcome. If you're
that makes sense. You can kill Dromm, but it's going to cost you
a surrounded,
a lot of hitbacks. Yeah. Blood Tithe counter up to 6 at this point.
Great strength is going on Kragan actually, who inspired throws 4 swords.
Mm-hmm. Kragan's. Oh, we're going to double check that he hasn't overspent his glory. Which appears he may have. I think great strength has been picked up.
Yeah, it looks like great strength is not going down after all. I suppose he has too much glory and upgrades out on the board. You cannot spend more on upgrades than you currently possess. The tokens are not being flipped in this game to represent what is spent and not, but the total cannot exceed your total. So it may have been too many glory to spend. So Alessandro taking that card back and now considering his options. Does he want to risk Khagra in this situation? And it looks like the answer maybe yes. Staggering Khagra, interesting choice. If she is to go in, she's still on 2 shields with a reroll. And we have now seen utter ignorance from Dromm. So even if he dies, he will come back on 1 wound, and that's before Final Frenzy is played. So he'll have to kill Dromm 2, maybe 3 times in order to secure that slaying 3 bounty. Pretty potent counterplay out of Mads, and if I'm Alessandro, I'm thinking real hard about whether I want to even bother now, or if I go for the Gorehulk instead. Alessandro taking the inspired Zarshia and perhaps attacking into the Gorehulk.
1 dice popped out. 2
swords.
Zarshia is range 2 or range 3, so she may have been trying to sneak in.
That is a Reckless Fury card. A Surge. Frenzied Rush. Score this immediately after an action step if friendly fighters with a total bounty characteristic of 3 or more have charge tokens and are in enemy territory. Dromm meets that condition, and so Mads has gained himself another Surge glory. Yet another reason why he may have placed utter ignorance on Dromm to ensure that he would live in enemy territory with the charge token no matter what Alessandro decided to do.
Despite a real rough opening dice-wise, Dromm looking in strong position right now.
Making the best out of a bad situation. Matt seems to have put himself up to quite the lead and is in a good board state as well. I'm sure there's still a path for Alessandro, an excellent player himself, but I'm sweating in my boots if I'm the Khagra player in this situation. Right. So, Matt's taking up a surge that he surged into after the last activation, and now preparing to take his second activation. Looks like a Gorehulk attack into Zarsha, who again is only on one dodge. One success.
I think there's two there. I think the bottom left one is a. Let's get a close.
Two successes. Yes, my apologies. Gorehulk uninspired using his lower damage, higher accuracy attack, and getting himself a blood tithe for his efforts. So now, if Alessandro decides to attack back and does any damage, he will inspire the entirety of the enemy warband. That said, an Emberstone Sentinels card just got scored. Name of that card is Stand Firm. Score this immediately after your opponent's action step. If a friendly fighter with any stagger tokens holds a treasure token in enemy territory. And that's true because Khagra has delved to stagger and then delved back to hold a treasure. So he does meet that condition. Alessandro still able to accumulate some glory here. But again, significant risk to him making any attacks now because he can't kill any fighters and will inspire the Gorechosen if he does so. Now, that may happen after the Gorechosen's next attack anyway, but the more times you can keep them uninspired, the better your chance of surviving into the next round. Oop. Someone has rolled a crit and not a crit on defense, so Gorechosen driven back there. Looks like another surge called aggressive defender. So that must be why he was choosing Zarsha to make these attacks despite their low efficacy, because it does allow him to score that surge for making the attack.
Alessandro kicking and screaming, getting up to 8 to that 10.
So one success each, so no damage was dealt, but because it was a tie, he was able to drive back. So no inspiration, no extra blood tithe, but still a better positional play. So actually, possibly the best outcome that Alessandro could have asked for. I get the Gorehulk out of there, but I don't inspire him.
Right.
In that situation, you almost want to fail the attack on a draw, and that's exactly what happened.
I think if Khagra is going to make a run on Dromm, she's likely to try to make it at the very end of the round and then hope to win the roll-off coming in the next to
regardless, you don't want her staggered in the middle of that pile of Khorne fighters.
Yeah.
So the Gorehulk charging back in, again, seeing if he can't do something about Zarsha. He has an upgrade. Couldn't say what it is, but Zarsha on 3 health remaining. So if he hits his 3 damage attack here, which is on hammers, so he has 1 success. Zarsha on 1 dodge and gets a crit. Standing fast. Alessandro flexing to the commentator's booth again. And he scores unassailable for his efforts. He's not driven off the token.
And then I think we have best foot forward is the other.
Yeah, so it seems they both scored a surge here, so kind of a neutral outcome. But more importantly, no blood tithe token is gained and no inspiration for the Gorechosen. So Alessandro getting a little bit of dice luck here.
And that is the inspire for the Gorechosen, it seems.
It's possible that Zarsha used the damage yourself upgrade during that attack to hope for 3 damage, which would have been pretty big, but seeing as it didn't quite work for him. Oh, no, you know what that means? Is actually Zarsha took the damage, my apologies, but because she stood fast,
reduced
the damage, did not die, and did not leave the token. So Gorechosen did inspire after all. My misreading of the dice. The board state currently is the Gorechosen are inspired, which is a frightening aspect to take in.
It could have been one of the upgrades we may not be able to see on Gorehulk might be hidden.
May have been great strength of some kind, yeah.
Which would explain 2 successes to 1 crit.
Oh yeah, not great strength, but because he must have had an eye count surrounded as a success. Double crit out of Alessandro.
Blood for the Blood God. Not sure. Oh, the man must have perfect cut if he's asking for continued rolls here.
One damage on the Gorehulk. And staggered, because Zarsha Inspired does have stagger on both of her attack profiles. Matt's increasing his blood tithe to 9. The only value that has now is more dice to throw on Final Frenzy. So a chance to bring a fighter back from the brink of death if he rolls enough crits. So more dice will increase the odds there. Gorehulk also driven back to give a little more breathing room in case Khagra does decide to dive in at the end here.
Dromm's about to answer. I'm guessing we're going to see a... it's got to be Herrick's right now. Mad's employing a push to bring the Gorehulk back in. Got another upgrade coming in. This one on Herrick's. Herrick's is going to be a duelist here. That's going to allow Herrick's to make this attack and then push back to help provide some flanks on, or just make it really hard to even get to the Gorehulk. The roll from Mads. Double crit. And he's got the support. So that's going to be the end of Zarsha. Zarsha is going to give up.
You have to admit, Zarsha lasted a lot longer than I thought she would.
Yep.
So, disappointing result, but probably still the best it could have gone for Alessandro. And Overrun does allow, however, that token to be claimed or chosen in a charged out state. But Khagra does have a no flank, no surrounded landing spot if she does want to attempt to put that semi-lethal damage onto Dromm, who will come back due to utter ignorance.
Looking like 9-12 here. Great strength now is affordable, and it's coming down on Kragan.
So 2 fighters capable of reaching 3 damage now for Alessandro. We have 5 health remaining for the Gorehulk and 3 health remaining for Dromm, who does, of course, have that special upgrade to keep him alive despite that.
Looks like committing to the kill on Gorehulk. Gorehulk does have a tasty 3 bounty.
And he's also staggered, so not a bad target. 4 dice coming out of Inspired Kragan here.
And Khagra actually does have a range 2 attack. Whoop.
2 crits. 2 crits and a reroll from Stagger. I'm not sure if he used it or not, but regardless, it's enough to put 3 damage out on the Gorehulk.
And
now the perfect cut comes through. That's 3 damage on Gorehulk, who has 2 wounds remaining, as I understand it. Now up to 11 blood tithe.
Do we think that Mads is going to be running the everybody has a charge token objective? Because currently Khagra is the only one who doesn't,
and she's pretty incentivized to get into the fight.
Yep.
She could possibly put the final damage on Gorehulk staggered, though. Again, would be surrounded if she did so.
We get a sidestep. Kragan stepping away from attack range. That's a nice little move. Mad's very possibly, has an answer for himself. There we go.
That's illusory fighter, if I believe correctly. Yes, it is. And that means that Dromm is not chargeable by Khagra, but an improvised attack coming here.
Can't quite like see what the... we'll see how many dice. That way we'll know. I think it's probably at 2 for the Cataclysm value. Make it a 2-dice attack. It is.
And that's not no successes, unfortunately, for Alessandro. Worth a try regardless.
I think he was going to use it to try to drive Dromm back out of range here. That would have been a pretty...
Yes, that would have been a smart play.
Dromm's going to be very accurate here. 3 hammers is going to be what he's coming with.
A Reckless Fury score.
Oh, wow.
Several cards coming out for Mads in the end phase. This looks to be quite the big gain for him. Two Reckless Fury scores and 1 Blazing Assault score. I'm unsure of which cards they were.
It looked like 1 apiece, so...
we have another hold specific treasure tokens.
Oh, we got the big score, I think.
And Supremacy comes out as well.
Wow.
So, despite things looking a little more tilted towards the Gorechosen's favor in board state, Alessandro's still able to score many glory in the end phase. So Mads is not out of the woods yet.
Folks at home might not be able to hear it, but the volume is getting real loud in the hall here. We're getting announcements going, and honestly, it sounds like crowd noise is picking up too. So with that huge end phase, Alessandro, I think, is now in the lead at 16. We're going to double check Mad's score. Yeah, it does look like 15. The Gore Hulk is killable, only 2 away from dying.
He does have a Final Frenzy if he wants to burn it there.
That's true.
If I'm Mads, I've got to be thinking about that.
It looks like
Khagra
he's
able to reach him.
11 blood tithe. So statistically likely here.
He should, on average, get 1 point something crits. If he gets 2 of those, he may be able to come back. Now, that said, the way that this works, per our judge's ruling earlier in the event, after you take the damage, you can be reduced to negative health. You have to return to a positive value after your Final Frenzy is rolled. So even if you get yourself back to 0, the fighter is slain. So if you can do a bit of overkill on Gore Hulk, you kind of reduce the odds for him to stay and pick up that 3 bounty, as well as taking a substantial offensive threat off the field. Worth noting as well, for the purposes of any future cards, Alessandro's countdown tracker has moved to 3 value. And the roll-off swords goes to Mads, which is huge.
If Kragan goes down, that's a big, that's one of the sources of 3 damage.
And if the Gore Hulk gets out of way of where Khagra can strike him, really limits Alessandro's options here. Kind of a must-win roll-off for Alessandro. This is not looking great for him.
Little confusion with the Gore Hulk kind of overflowing his hex a little bit. Mads was uncertain where he was actually starting at.
Yeah, some of these models have quite large bases, and with the smaller hexes in Emberguard edition, occasionally you have someone straddling the line.
I went and got the story. The last game we talked about a Final Frenzy that had gotten 5 crits on 5 dice.
Yeah, what was the actual result there? Well, we have
3 dice. Looks like 1 crit.
1 crit, but nothing else out of the.
Maybe one of these being re-rolled.
Still a failure. And a crit in defense for Alessandro.
There
he cannot fail, but Branching Fate, which after the reroll, I don't know if he scores that or not.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, he should have kept the original result. I mean, you want to fish for that lethal damage, but...
Oh, they're good. They sorted it out themselves.
All right. Branching Fate does not score, though we now know that Mads has that in hand. Hard to score with 3 dice, though he is currently the underdog, so could be scored with 2.
Yeah, so this is Alvaro from Spain, rolled it. Turned out he had 17 blood tithe he was rolling.
I see.
However,
still got 5,
he picked up 5 and rolled the first 5, and all 5 of those hit crits. So before he even picked up the other 12, he already knew he was healing 5.
Incredible. So 5 out of 5 to open, and then 12 more to go just for good measure. So still that 0.01% chance to have happened that way, regardless of what happened in the next 12 dice. That upgrade being placed on Razik, I think that is defensive related. I think it is sharp reflexes. This fighter has +1 save to a maximum of 2, and now placing him on guard as well, meaning that Kraken has 2 defense on guard, will make it substantially more difficult to get through that.
Alessandro's going to have to resist temptation here, or not, but there's going to be a lot of push to try and scoop up. It looks on the table like there's a couple of 3 bounty fighters available to be scooped, but with utter ignorance on Dromm and with Final Frenzy available for either, it will be hard to actually claim either of those 3 bounties.
Yeah, you can take the attack with Khagra, do everything you can to maximize your odds of success, and still find that you have not slain a fighter. Could happen. I think they're counting through each other's cards to make sure that we know that the glory count is accurate. Seeing, perhaps for the purposes of underdog, if any cards are to be played in the next go. All right. So,
okay.
Still on guard. Razik appears to just be moving.
Alessandro making sure that we don't get too many charge tokens out there. Moving to a spot that it's going to be hard to get multiple attacks on him.
Kind of interesting choice out of Alessandro. I mean, it does protect Kraken, but you have to imagine that Mads wants to charge. And doing that is going to take them out of the way of Khagra's countercharge.
Wow.
Unless he has move tech. Now,
this has
the extra mile does get him onto that token, who is now in cover, so he has 2 defense on guard in cover. So only a flanked result is going to be a failure for him.
I like that he used the extra mile to avoid the stagger token.
Yes.
So he gets there without granting any rerolls. Rerolls being important not only for the accuracy attack, but he knows that Mads is holding
Branching Fate.
Branching Fate, yep.
Mads clarifying what defensive abilities are on Razik, since there are multiple. I mean, Kraken. I continue to mix those 2 up. And showing for good measure what Khagra is wearing as well. That will determine what Mads wants to do with his next activation. So both players making sure everyone's aware of the board state.
So, Mattia, as an underdog, it means you can score it on 2 dice, but it doesn't mean that you only need 2 different results.
Yeah, the attack roll can contain 2 or more dice instead, but they still do all need to be different symbols, which was the discussion the players had earlier. They came to the mutual conclusion without calling in a judge, and I think I agree.
Lure of Battle.
That'll pull Kraken back in. And that could be big. Now he can set up a flank result and take away that surrounded result of success.
Gorehulk better make sure of it, though, because on guard, Kraken's going to be able to snap back.
You know, he could do that. But he could also charge with Dromm and get flanked on his own attack.
Yep.
Second activation for Mads.
Oh, this is coming from Herrick's over the top.
Oh, Herrick's is shooting over the top. Interesting choice. Herrick's a 3 swords fighter.
And flank.
But will have flanked, making this a pretty accurate attack.
Herrick's does have an upgrade, and I can't quite clearly see what it is. I think it's Duelist. Yeah, it is Duelist.
3 swords, which is with a support, is effectively 3 hammers going into 2 guard.
1 crit.
At the outset of this attack, 25% chance of success. We'll see if that holds.
And we got one success.
One success and one crit, so overrun is possible. And
oh,
I must have missed something. Perhaps Cleave was taken.
We misunderstood something about the attack.
Gorehulk is sporting 2 upgrades. I'm not sure what they are.
It's possible that was a Gorehulk attack and not a Herrick's attack.
Maybe. Kind of a crushing result for Alessandro's chances here.
His big haymakers for scoring have kind of already processed. So we're not sure if he's gonna have a hard time.
I don't know what else is in Alessandro's end phase objectives, but if he can charge in with Khagra, hit the Gorehulk, and Final Frenzy doesn't do enough, that's 3 bounty and could make the difference.
That's true.
Though she'll lose her charge token for that.
If you can get full damage in on the Gorehulk, then the Gorehulk would have to heal at least 2 to come back alive. It would make him charged, which might be what.
Well, that said, Mads has not charged any of his fighters.
That's true.
So he may not be able to reach that charge out state, and I think we have seen some of those charge token scores already, so maybe less of a consideration for Alessandro.
So I think Alessandro must have taken a.
They've taken a guard action.
Yeah.
Or maybe focused. I didn't quite see. Herrick's now making a charge at range 2. It's a 3 swords attack.
It's looking like.
And they are not scoring Branching Fate, which may be what he was fishing for there. But able to push onto a token there.
This is close. Alessandro only down by 1. Depends on what he's got.
Branching Fate being one of those cards that can be very frustrating for either player.
Yeah.
Because there's not much that either can do to influence it.
Yeah.
Outside of some rerolls.
Mads has only got 1 more shot at that Branching Fate as well. So unless he's got some sort of power card attack, and I don't think that's available.
Right. So part of the effect of that is that should Khagra charge the Gorehulk, she will not be flanked.
Herrick's importantly getting on to Treasure Token 5.
Yes, which in the event of a tiebreaker, which we may be heading towards here,
yep,
could be the decisive thing. Khagra picking up a Keen Eye, I believe, which will be +1 attack dice.
Looks to me like he's going to commit to an attempt to slay the Gorehulk.
You have to imagine that's his only hope. I don't know what's in his end phase hand, but the chance for 3 bounty taking a fighter off the board. Yep, he's taken away the charge token, indicating he intends to charge.
Oh my goodness.
He is doing a range 2 attack against Herrick's here. Perhaps he wants to make sure that Herrick's does not hold the token. There's a crit and a success for Khagra. Herrick's only on 1 defense die and not able to prevent the drive back, so that'll do 2 damage, give some blood tie, then Khagra will step back on the token.
Interesting.
So in the event of tiebreakers, that would now go to Alessandro. I don't know what end phase cards either one holds, but worth considering. Khagra now picking up yet another upgrade.
I think it might be the can't be pushed if you have a charge
back
token.
While having charge tokens.
I heard can't be pushed is all I heard.
Root Momentum, I think, already came out.
That's true. Zarshia was.
But there could be something else in Cataclysm that does a similar thing. I'll take a look. It's a yellow background there.
So Alessandro
it might be Driven by Pain.
Yep.
If he's dealt damage and driven back, he can heal the fighter.
Alessandro repping with that duelist step back onto the treasure token that he's got something scoring for that.
I imagine holding a token, He's already scored Supremacy. He's already scored Slow Advance. He's already scored a Cataclysm card that asks him to hold. Not entirely sure what else he has that he's working towards, but must be something because he wants to hold that token, and he must think he can at least make it a tie in the end phase.
He didn't leave himself in a position to make a follow-up attack on Herrick's, which I thought might have been the play. I thought he might have been coming up and then make another range 2 and then sidestep on. We'll see if the Gorehulk just goes for the tiebreaker. No, Gorehulk smash.
Well, not necessarily. Mad's reconsidering.
Wings of War. He wants a particular position.
Possibly trying to get her off of the token and out of his territory. Yeah. Wings of War making him move further. Gorehulk charging. We'll see if he goes for the higher probability, lower damage. Khagra, I believe, on only 2 wounds remaining. But she does have some good defensive tech. Losing her charge token may be decisive here.
Presumably, so no longer the underdog here. So he does need the 3 dice, but
as announcing 3 dice. Right, and do we have a branching fate? That could be the difference maker here.
I think he considered a reroll.
There's a crit and a reroll on Khagra's defense. Not a success. That guard token ending up being very important. Khagra slain, giving up 2 more bounty. Presumably, Mads will show branching fate as well as overrunning. I'm not sure that he has overrun, but maybe he has an upgrade that allows him to push like that. Maybe a moot point now anyway. And there's branching fate for 1 more. So that may have sealed the deal for Mads. We are playing a best of 3 today. So there will be at least 1 more game, but tough break for Alessandro.
Took it to the wire there. Looks like players are just double check their glory counts.
As far as I could tell, Mads had scored out his entire deck and slain the entire warband, which is about as good as you can do.
A pretty consequential final roll there.
Absolutely. Had it gone differently, who knows? We haven't seen Alessandro's hand. He may not choose to show anything in order to hide more information for the.
In his position, I would not. Yeah. I would keep Mads thinking that. Well,
yeah, I'm choosing to score nothing. Maybe 1 more card he's scoring, or maybe that's a card he didn't score.
Chopping his
making 3 attacks, which I don't know that he did.
Oh, he is showing
Cataclysm tracker going up. Maximum of 2 for that card. And Alessandro not showing anything else. Shaking hands across the table, and it looks like Mads takes game 1. Denmark in a strong position to advance, but we do have 1 or 2 more games to play in this match.
So that ended 18-21. That was a 3 glory kill. I think that was the difference, huh?
It was. Branching Fate and 2 for Khagra's bounty.
Yeah.
So had he failed to kill there, tiebreaker would have gone to Alessandro, or perhaps even a clean win, depending on what else he held in his end phase hand.
Yeah.
Yep, he's explaining now what he would have scored. So yes, had that attack missed, Alessandro wins.
Wow.
Incredible coming down to the final roll.
We're going to zero out the glory totals. It's 21-18 is where we close out there. We're going to advance ourselves to game 2. Clock likely to become an issue. We are at 2 hours and 17 minutes. He was Underworlds pointing out that that is 18 glory from Alessandro without having killed a single fighter. It's an excellent point. Both players loading up their war scrolls again. We ripped through those abilities pretty quickly.
So after first game's done, very tight down to the final roll, like we said. What do you think Alessandro could have done differently?
That's a tough call. I think he had some good defensive roles in there. Just lost on a couple of crucial ones, including Khagra right there, and then earlier in the round, I think was it Kragan?
Yes.
Kragan getting dropped.
Kragan dying before inspiring is pretty huge. I'm not sure there was much else he could do to protect him. He had him placed as far back as he could.
Well, that was Razik died early.
Yes, actually.
But so
I keep telling people I like this warband, and all weekend long I'm getting their names back.
I poisoned you because you were correcting me earlier. But actually, I think that's a good point. There was one in each, one in each round where, or one in round 1 and then 2 in the third round because Razik going down without inspiring, before he got to that 2 shields, and then Kragan, a source of 3 damage potentially, going down before he could leverage that, leaving it all down to Khagra, which is challenging.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game of dice, so there's sometimes only so much you can do. But yeah, I mean, having watched this, I think Alessandro played about as well as he could.
Yep.
Some rolls didn't go his way, though. We had 3 separate instances of the double bicep flex, so he did have some good defensive luck on his side, just perhaps not when it was needed most. That said, Mads also played quite well, so nothing you can really take away from that. I think, both these players with great decks, great experience, great skill, and it does sometimes come down to the randomness of card draw and dice luck.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're putting yourself in position to win it on the last roll of the game against one of the more obviously dominant warbands that are out here, that's all you can ask. Do that again, and maybe you get it next time.
Yeah. Notably, Alessandro didn't manage to take down any of the 3 fighters, and despite that, still scored 18 glory.
Yeah.
So, that's about as high as a Nemesis deck is getting around these parts, and so he scored about as much as he could. And we know he missed scoring at least one of his cards. So that means Alessandro has the capacity to, without a kill, score more
than 18
glory,
wow,
which is huge.
I think I did see it. I think it was a surge. It might have been unassailable if you had attacked, missed, and left him there.
Oh. There's
well, let me throw this out there. With his 3rd action in the round 3, Alessandro made a 2 damage attack
against
Herix
off the token, and then go right back on,
sacrificing his guard token. I'd be curious what that 2 damage attack was hoping to accomplish.
I think it's dependent on what that last objective that he did not score was.
Yeah.
He clearly chose not to attempt the kill on the Gorehulk.
Yeah.
He chose not to attempt a 3 damage hit with the overrun onto Herix. He was doing something. We'll have to assume it was the right play. Without full information of the decks, as those lists are closed, it's hard to say. But with the information I had available to me sitting at this table, I would have maybe done differently.
Right. If it was purely to improve his tiebreakers, I don't know why you don't just save that for the final. There's no need to do that. But let's say wouldn't have been Wreckers. I don't know if there was enough. There's uneven contests hold all odd number treasure tokens. I doubt that he's got that included.
Yeah, that's really the only questionable play that I can remember is that last action out of Khagra.
Yeah.
And as we saw, based on the result of that final roll, that guard token would have been the difference maker and could have perhaps won him the game. So unclear whether that was the right call. Looks like we have some judges coming back over to the table. I believe we are instituting a chess clock now as we are a bit behind the curve, and we do need to keep to our schedule to complete our championship bracket in time and have an eventual undefeated fighter in this bracket.
It's important to get a good result, a clean result on this table. It's important to allow all the other tables to make it fair for every competitor here.
Well, I don't know how you feel, but I feel pretty excited about that match. I think that was a good one. Well played out of both. I actually, at multiple times throughout the game, thought one player had it or the other player had it. I never thought the entire time that Alessandro was out, but I also never thought that Mads was out either. I think it could have gone either way, really, up until the last activation.
Again, that Razik kill early really opened up. Like that was a pivotal. We said that was like a 5 glory kill.
Yeah,
strong start.
2
bounty.
For the bounty, strong start, and then 2 for Arena Mortis.
And so Razik was out of the picture. That's a cleave fighter who's got some good accuracy. And gave up all that glory, didn't get to come in with the extra shields. Even just having an extra piece is handy, I think, for Alessandro, because that's one more fighter that doesn't have a charge token.
Yeah, well, and as we saw when we watched Zach play yesterday, an inspired Razak Godblessed is very accurate for 2 damage.
Yep.
And has 2 shields and increases to 4 wounds.
Yeah.
So much harder to shift.
Yep.
And another source of reliable damage. Could have been the difference maker as well. So that's maybe one of the more pivotal plays in this game. 5 glory and also taking a significant piece off the board for Alessandro.
Right.
So we'll see if that happens again. Alessandro was boosted a bit by some poor dice luck for Mads at the start. If Mads gets hot with some lucky dice rolls at the beginning, things may be over quickly, or maybe we'll see something else come out. Either way, I think fans of both players and representatives of both nations should be proud of their contestant here. That's excellent Underworlds display.
Yeah.
And skill off the charts. That's why you're at Worlds.
We got Wigglefish saying that he thinks that you have to kill one of the Gorechosen in order to win that matchup. And it's clear that Alessandro agreed, because he did commit to laying some damage in on the Gorechosen.
Yeah, I think once there was Inspired and Utter Ignorance and still the capacity for Final Frenzy, it did change the math for Alessandro a bit, but I tend to agree. I think you have to take down at least one of those 3 wound fighters if you want to win that matchup.
Yep.
That's significant luck on the dice rolls.
Rhesus Monkey, FYI, the bracket does not finish today. There are 2 rounds of it today. The one we're doing right now, and I'll confirm. I keep floating. I think it's we'll see. This one
It started a touch late because of some of the earlier pool play issues. Yep. So we may be spilling a little over the scheduled time today, but there will only be 2 rounds today. Then there will be 2 rounds tomorrow to determine the world champion.
So the first match of the day was pool play. The second match of the day was second and third match of the day will be bracket play, and then tomorrow we'll be able to have semifinals and finals. So we'll I imagine we'll be streaming a semi and streaming a final.
Likely so. All right, it looks like the second game setup is underway. Players have had the chess clock explained to them. Both players seem to understand. Alessandro orienting the board this time. He's chosen the blocked hexes orientation with the 5s position. So different side of the board, same width as before. We'll see how that changes things, whether or not that blocks any charge ranges. Alessandro being the warband with more range to start the game. Somewhat interesting that he chose the blocked hexes. We'll see how that affects the play lines. Fans following along at home will note that the embargo date for the pre-order stuff was cleared today. So you can take a look at the fighter cards and War Scrolls yourself, should you want to, over at What the Hex. That's all there, as well as some analysis from their team about what cards they think are good, how you think you can leverage certain abilities. And so while we will read out things where they become relevant, if you'd like to get eyes on the actual rules for the warbands themselves, those are online at What the Hex.
Underworlds DB, I haven't been able to check to see if they're updated yet today, but I expect that to be imminent. There's a lot of images to handle, and it's not just loading images because they got to do a text entry for every card. When it is 18 warbands and 2 rivals decks all in one release, it's a lot. Yeah, I think my instinct is that we have some good. Like, look at this. Look at this cluster of treasure over in in Khagra's Ravagers area. The spot that one of the Gorechosen would most like to stand on is actually not possible. That blocked one that can kind of reach out and hit them all with 2.
So that is an intelligent placement if that's what was intended there, because the range 2 Dromm sitting in the center of 3 tokens now cannot be occupied.
Yep.
He'll kind of have to choose which 2 he wants to deal with.
Yep.
However, 2 treasure tokens in neutral territory means that slow advance is easier on one front, but harder on the other, as there's only 1 token in Gorechosen territory, and you will have to risk a fighter to get that deep running through that gauntlet. do know that Alessandro has slow advance in his hand, so does he hold on to that 2 glory end phase? With the output of Mad's deck last game, I think you do have to try and score your entire deck, so he will have to send someone over there.
Yep.
How he makes that happen and when he makes that happen is going to be something to watch.
So Zarshia is set up. Zarshia is the one who's most likely to give up Blood Tithe right away because she's the one on one dodge. She's also maybe not as important to the overall game plan. Right now, she's in a spot where only Dromm can take a swing unless there's power card support.
Yeah, I assume he did that despite the fact that she's easier to hit because she does have the 4 wounds and she only gives up the 1 bounty.
Yep.
And he's chosen to protect Razak instead, who on 3 wounds and 2 bounty is a worse piece to lose early.
We had to roll off. I apologize. I had the dice tray hidden. So we're going to figure out real quick who's got that.
Both players looking through their cards right now.
Mad's going for it.
All right. So thinking about his options, putting 3 damage out on Khagra to start the game when she's still on 1 shield is an incredibly powerful move if he can pull it off.
You know what 2 hammers into 1 shield is?
2 hammers into 1 shield is...
You got Twist the Knife coming out as well.
A 68% chance of success.
So this is straight up for a kill is what this is.
This could be very big. 2 successes, not a great look. Without the stand fast, Khagra is off the table immediately. 2 bounty, his most potent offensive weapon gone. Crippling immediately out the gate. He'll also pick up some Blood Tithe. He gets 1 for doing the damage. He gets 2 for the bounty on Khagra. And now he has access to all of his War Scroll abilities immediately. Mad's
It's I think there's a possibility that Mads is sitting on 1 too many glory. Khagra's only worth 2 bounty. Unless there is a second surge that was scored. We're not sure. Oh, they've got it. They've sorted it out. They've kind of figured out what's happened. So
there that there was additional glory out of bounty and then additional Blood Tithe out of taking Khagra out of action. Well, she's only worth 2 bounty. She sure feels like she's worth 3, so I can see why they both thought that.
I'm wondering if the Blood Tithe is accurate as well.
Yeah, I don't believe that it is. They fixed the glory, but kept the Blood Tithe.
So it is at 4 blood tide. There was just damage that came onto a fighter that wasn't being represented. So they gave that.
I see that they didn't put the wound counter on Gorehulk there.
Yeah.
I guess there was some back and forth confusion here, but it looks like both players agree that it is 3 glory and 4 blood tithe for the Gorechosen right now. Dromm moving on to that center token there, treasure token number 2.
Well, he was never going to have. He's never going to have a charge after the kind of manipulation there. So. All right.
Going into a stagger.
Alessandro is going in for the kill one of them before they inspire.
Yeah, I think that's the strategy at this point.
Both Kragan and Razek can lay 2 damage
Can do 2, so if they each hit, and stagger will allow that to be more likely. And there's 1 success, and a reroll makes a crit, so that's 2 successes, only 1 success, and no crit out of the Gorehulk, so he could be overrun. I doubt he'll take that option.
Seems
unlikely. Want to stagger himself. But that'll be 2 damage on the Gorehulk, who has 3 wounds on him now. So if there is some kind of way to get an extra damage out for 1 more attack, we could see the Gorehulk go down early, kind of force Mads to spend those blood tithe on Final Frenzy, slowing down the Inspire. Though with Khagra out, that's in a pretty bad position, and again, it is important for Alessandro to find a way to Inspire here. So now he'll have to choose, do I desecrate a second token, or do I commit to slaying the Gorehulk? Choosing to push himself.
So he's using the Call of Blood.
Call of Blood to get someone out of there to prevent any flanked, and possibly make it easier to reach the 3 wound, 1 shield Razek while uninspired.
It did make it so Razek can now reach, although I guess Razek might have been able to use pushes to reach that treasure token anyway, but he was initially out of range.
He does have the War Scroll push. There is 1 desecrated token, so he can use that to push himself 1 if he needs to in order to secure that Inspire.
Still haven't seen Enrage. I suspect we'll see it before the end of the round. It is cheapest in this round. He may be waiting till he hits the Inspire, just so he doesn't slow that down. And then he'll have a higher value attack if he does. That looks like Grievous to me. Great strength. I see a rune mark on there.
It is. That's great strength out of the Blazing Assault deck.
And here comes Enrage.
Right, so not waiting till he's inspired, but Gorehulk can do 4 damage here. Seeing if he can take Zarsha off the board. She again is on 1 dodge. Not flanked. It's
a big roll. Looking at his hands,
checking through his cards, see if there's anything else he wants to add to this. 2 hammers with 1 success.
Just saying there's a chance.
And that was not the correct die.
No chance on that
rolling
one.
defense here. And that is a dodge. So Alessandro surviving again. He will be driven off the token, but since it's already desecrated, that's less of a harmful thing, though it will block some Emberstone Sentinels scoring.
Alessandro with the flex, but also with the brow wiping
yes.
gesture before it.
I mean, flexing is hard work.
Yeah. Bringing a judge in, I think there's a timing issue on a card that he wants to score off of. It's unassailable is the one in question. I can't imagine that it scores here.
I'm pretty sure unassailable requires you to still be on the token, at least per the interpretation for this tournament.
Yep.
And seeing as she's not on it.
Ruling a number of times.
We have a Chilean in the chat saying the wrung out Diego style. 9 Chilean flags and a metal hands, hook 'em horns, whatever you want to call it. Diego really putting everything on the line. He did look quite tired at the end of that, but he did earn his way into the top 16. So we'll see how he fares moving on out.
Still more discussion, just to make sure Alessandro understands and is comfortable with the ruling on unassailable here. I mean, that was a big stop because Mads used Blood Tithe to get there, and it would have gained 2 if he managed to land that kill.
Yeah, so slowing down the Inspire, keeping a fighter alive. He's going to bring her 1 closer, presumably to set up flanked on this to increase the odds of success.
Oh, right, because that was just the power step. He's about to make an actual attack.
Yeah, so that was not Mads' turn. And it looks like Alessandro appears to have done something to push her. Still flanked. Dromm coming in.
A second move. Interesting.
I think not a charge, but a move.
Well, couldn't had a move on already. So I think.
Oh, I see. Yes. So yeah. Maybe he'll use something from Reckless Fury to put a charge token on to help score some cards. Unsure what he's working towards here.
So both Kragan and Razik still without charge tokens. One of them probably is going to need to get over onto treasure number 5.
I would imagine so. He does have the War Scroll push for 1 hex.
Yep.
So he could charge into the back of Gorehulk, hit him for 2, and then War Scroll adjacent sidestep into
and then
that
immediately.
And if he can manage to pull that off, he'll desecrate and inspire.
Razik looking for a little bit of revenge after game 1.
That is a crit and a hammer. No need to re-roll. 2 successes beats 1, and overrun is possible if he wants to take it. I would imagine he does not.
He's absolutely going to drive back, I would imagine.
I wouldn't, because he can keep him surrounded.
But now here
he can just charge onto that token. Yeah. So he won't have the benefit of flanked or surrounded.
That's true.
Unless he wants to use the War Scroll push to set that up, which would be kind of a risky play.
This one's got to... Oh, this does not have to come from Herrick's, because Dromm has moved twice.
He could attack. Looks like he's going into Zarsha again. Her being the 1 dodge fighter. 1 hammer.
Can that dodge come up again?
And that is not the dodge again. So damage will be dealt. But she's not slain.
No, because that was only 2 damage there. But
now Unassailable has scored because I suppose she wasn't driven back. Possibly it's because Uninspired Dromm has only 2 damage on his range 1, and presumably he'd like to use it again to kill her next turn. So
I see.
Choosing to allow Alessandro to score Unassailable so that he can secure the kill later.
In a later round. But that's a helpful Blood Tithe that may be the difference in life or death on Gore
this
Hulk
attack that's about to come the Gore Hulk's way. All right, uninspired, Razak throws 3 swords into 1 shield.
We're going to show this big. This is an important one.
3 swords into 1 shield has a 48% chance to succeed, but there is a stagger reroll, so it's a little higher.
There is a crit and a success. This is happening.
And yeah, 2 beats 1. That's enough.
Choosing not to use Final Frenzy.
Interesting.
I think that's the right choice. I think you keep pursuing the
wants to be inspired for sure. Dromm inspired is a frightening fighter on his own. He's already gotten great value out of the Gore Hulk. The second charge has happened, and Khagra is slain early, so probably thinking he could do the rest of the job with Dromm himself.
That was a crucial activation there.
Yeah,
it's a 3 bounty.
Yeah, slaying a fighter gives him a desecration. Now he'll inspire in the next round. Not actually over yet. It is 5-1. Alessandro does have the lead.
Yep.
And he holds 2 treasure tokens and would get supremacy if he's holding it. But Mads will score first.
That's going to be Red Harvest or Crimson Harvest, something like that. It thematically does have the Gore Hulk looming on it.
Red Aftermath. Score this in an end phase if the total bounty characteristic of slain enemy fighters is 2 or more. And Khagra being worth 2 means that he has scored that card for 1 glory. That's total now up to 4. We'll see what Alessandro scores once he's finished dealing with his power cards.
Set explosives would be worth 2. He's got these set explosives just to have 2, or do you also have to have everything in a territory?
Take a look. Set explosives. Score this in end phase if you hold 2 or more treasure tokens and all the treasure tokens in any territory. So that condition is not met.
Here we're seeing the Inspires. Kragan and Razak are going to have to do some work here. Zarsha is probably not too long for this world.
So we're seeing great for him to have taken the Gore Hulk out, but Alessandro scoring no objective cards in the end phase. 1 hammer for the underdog here, and then the tiebreaker. Mads does get priority for this roll.
Mads just became the underdog just in time to win this roll off.
Just in time to win this roll off.
Maddie, for your information, the Gorechosen won the first game, all on the last dice roll. Pretty exciting.
It was 21-18 by the end. Had that die roll gone differently in Alessandro's favor, he would have won that game. So remarkably close. And this game is shaping up to look somewhat similarly, as both warbands have lost their most potent fighter.
We got an attack. I see 1 crit, and I suspect that...
And 1 crit on defense. Alessandro shouting Zarsha's name and giving us his 5th consecutive double bicep flex of the match. She refuses to die today. Across both games, Zarsha has had remarkable defensive luck. That is critical effort for Mads, though. Does not require the attack to be successful. And again, choosing not to drive her back because that will allow the kill for Dromm uninspired. So now the question is, does Alessandro attack doing damage and inspiring, or does he focus on token placement?
That's a tough call.
I might think about trying to get Zarsha to a more safe location, though she only has 3 move. No, 4 now that she's inspired.
Yeah.
Or unless I'm reading that wrong. She might still be 3 move. He does have the War Scroll push to push someone 2 if he needs, because he has 2 desecrated tokens.
Yeah, in this case, Alessandro's still got his entire War Scroll available. It's interesting that he's not choosing to provide extra defense.
He's trusting in his dice, and so far that's been working out for him.
Yeah.
We have Blade Catcher put on Dromm, so now he won't be able to use Grievous or Cleave or anything else.
It's a big one.
And staggering each fighter within 1 of a stagger hex based on the Cataclysm value, which I believe is 2, so he can stagger actually both fighters. It's not the stagger
equal
hex.
to his Cataclysm value. So
both remaining Gorechosen now staggered. So it looks like Alessandro is planning on putting out some damage. Handing Mads the Inspire, he must think he has something to angle for.
Trying to see. That block text provides, there's no way to really protect Zarsha, but a charge and a drive back to the right spot on that block text can block out a range 2 return attack. Looks like he's going to thinking about taking advantage of full Herax back there.
Yeah, so he's going to hit Herax. He thinks he can do some damage there. Only worth 1 bounty, but it does allow him to land on that token 1 afterwards if he has some push tech. 5 dice coming in, but hitting on swords, only 1 reroll here.
1 reroll.
And that is not a success. That is a 5 dice whiff. And not much else you can do there. Alessandro kind of shrugging his shoulders.
Silver
He
lining.
is using the War Scroll push to secure that token, however. I imagine he'll desecrate it if nothing else.
And then when you're at 3, I think you probably draw the
power
cards
with the War Scroll would be the thing I would do almost immediately at this stage. And that's what he's done. So Alessandro drawing 3 power cards. And if Kragan can stay on that token, he does have an avenue to score set explosives and slow advance and supremacy. So there could be a big end phase coming.
And this is a good time to draw those 3 because if you can pull into a guard card, we're looking pretty good there for Kragan. Zarshe kind of being left to suffer the indignity of being whammed upon by.
He may have written her off already, though.
There it is. Settle in.
Yep, settle in. Guard is on.
Yep.
You got to ask yourself, did he draw into it with that War Scroll ability? Card draw we've seen already in a previous match on this stream. Very potent for Khagra. Getting the right card at the right time. Did win one of those games for Zach earlier. Also importantly, missing that attack, despite its relatively high probability, meant that there was no inspiration for the Gorechosen, and so this next attack out of Dromm is going to be a little less accurate.
Alessandro can kind of consider that a win-win. I think he was much more interested in that position, but
just wanted to think maybe I can put some damage out on this fighter while I'm at it. But yeah, only worth 1 bounty and not the most damaging fighter. Herax isn't really a high priority to kill. May have been hoping for a drive back if nothing else. We have 2 hammers and a crit, which takes Zarshe off the board. No need to roll defense there. And now they're inspired.
Both Sally Forth. We'll take a moment of silence if this is correct information on behalf of all our Canadian folks. It appears that Captain Murder may have been knocked out of the top 16.
Taking a look
that was one of the Dromms.
Best Coast pairing.
We'll take a look and see if we can see what his matchup was.
We know that he was playing Dromm, and it looks like, yes, James Waters of England has defeated him 41-20, likely across a 2-0 win. Pretty dominant performance there. England will advance. And Captain Murder, friend of the show, friend of the cast, friend of the stream, friend of me,
we got
eliminated in the top 16, which is a big bummer for him because he missed top 8 by 1 game again last year. So tantalizingly close this time, but we'll have to hope for best next year.
I think it's about time for Razek to get the heck out of Dodge. He doesn't want to stand there and trade blows with Dromm.
I wouldn't either. It's full health, and we know Final Frenzy's still on the table.
No remarks. He's got Blade Catcher, so Cleave's not going to go through. It's going to be a tough ask. Oh,
you know what? Some men are a little braver than they have since, and I'm pretty sure that Razek Inspired is one of those men. So that's 2 hammers attack. And he's got 1 with a reroll. Crit success. Wow. Excellent play. Best he can hope for is 1 crit, and it's not going to save him. And he gets no successes at all. So that is 2 damage and a drive back. And notably, a 2 bounty fighter on an objective. However, it's not in no man's land, so he will not score slow advance. Though with charged out, he could later move on to that. But supremacy is possible, and set explosives is possible. So potential big end phase coming here. Oh, delving. Interesting.
Yeah, he delved it into a cover and delved it back out. I'm not. Oh, I know.
Having stagger.
Yep.
And a charge. Likely what he's going for out of Cataclysm there.
Yeah, he's got a surge that's almost guaranteed at this point on that one. It's actually a pretty good spot for Alessandro.
Healing potion coming here for Mad. See if battle the underdog. Unfortunately, only 1 damage being healed, but Dromm quite stacked there with upgrades. I think may not be the best choice to continue attacking him.
I think we overlooked that he did score the perfect cut. Oh, he's going to keep trying to knock him back out.
Improvised attack.
Yep.
See if you can get him out of there so he can't punch you back. Dromm notably has not charged yet.
Yep.
Crit and success.
He's got a reroll if he remembers it.
Oh, no, crit. Just 1 crit. My apologies.
Just 1 crit, they say.
Dromm not rolling his defense?
I think he's going to point out to him that he could.
I see. And the issue was before he hadn't already placed the wounds from Razik's initial attack.
I see.
So now he has only 1 wound remaining unless one of those upgrades is Great Fortitude, which it might be.
Quite possibly.
Interestingly, pushing him onto a token with the drive back. I wonder what the play is.
I know there's a ping.
There is. Countdown to Cataclysm has select somebody. I believe it's just within 1 of a treasure token, though.
Yeah.
So he didn't need to put him on the token for that, but maybe it means no sidestep will get him to safety.
It could also be an intention to keep him away from Razak. I mean,
make it harder for him to run around the corner there. Yeah, that could be the case.
Push him further away.
So the pings available in Countdown to Cataclysm, we have Total Collapse, where you just choose a fighter. And then Sunder the Realm.
That's in neutral territory.
Neutral territory, which he is not. So we did not see either of those cards last game. I don't know that Alessandro's taking them, but a potential play here to ping Dromm out.
So good news for Kragan, even though Dromm is sporting a whole lot of dice. Kragan is finally inspired.
2 block
didn't
and
get
4
to do it
health.
last game. 2 blocks, pretty healthy.
Oh, charging, putting himself within that range 2. Dromm inspired, able to put out 3 damage at range 2, and I think he does have a great strength in there. So we're going to depend on this.
Great strength was on the Gorehulk and it got knocked out.
Oh, well then it's possible that Razik survives this either way. Hammers for Dromm. That's
Hammers
3 successes. Defense here. 2 successes, but not enough, and no crit, so no stand fast. Somewhat tough spot now.
I guess great strength wouldn't do it. He's got Grievous on his attack anyway. So inspired.
I think
inspired
it's 2
Dromm.
Grievous. So yeah, great strength wouldn't have helped him there. Rerolling a defense didn't make a difference. So likely some damage coming Razik's way.
And there is the
staggered fighter with the charge. Giving a Surge Glory after the enemy activation for Alessandro. And Dromm choosing not to drive back, actually. Interesting choice. Probably because he wants to attack again. But Razik occupying that token still, meaning that those end phases are still on the table for Alessandro as well. Yep. You have to wonder, does he take a guard action with his next activation?
I don't
Taking
hate that.
a move over to token 5 could score slow advance, but put him in harm's way. Or does he take a move over to token 3 there in the back, let that block hex save him?
Or just
all the way down there, not even on a token at all.
He will have the last activation, so maybe this is I'm moving away.
And then I'll move on after you're done
one
doing
safe
stuff.
to go to.
That might be the case. Yeah, guard is one thing, but being out of range is a whole nother. And rage has already been used, so no chance for that double charge to chase him down, and I don't think Herax can reach him. Well, that's one way to do it. Get it done, passes the charge token over to Herax, and Dromm now free to charge again. Alessandro shaking his head. Only so much a man can do.
It should be noted that I'm not sure if Dromm has the utter ignorance on. There's a lot of upgrades out there. But Dromm is actually very close to death, too.
Yes.
Although Final Frenzy looks good for at least a fair amount of
11
healing.
at this stage, so could get 2 crits, could come back. Matt's asking about which upgrades each fighter has to help choose his target most appropriately. On guard with 2 defense, Kragan is pretty defensible, but he does hold the only treasure token in that territory. So we know that that's important as well, but looks like the higher probability move here is to come for Razik. Tactically staying within range of both those treasure tokens so that if Razik survives, he'll still have a chance to hit him later no matter where he goes. Looking for hammers, and again, 3 successes. I don't think even a standfast is going to save Razik. So down he goes. 2 bounty, more blood tithe, and a pretty bad situation for Alessandro, I'd say.
I can't help but notice he still doesn't use Eye of the Gods.
Well, Eye of the Gods does require you to be on a feature token or your target.
Yeah.
So
didn't he?
Would have been nice to use earlier.
Wasn't when he was on treasure token 4.
That would not have been a bad idea to put him to 3 shield. Because he did roll 2 shield. That third dice could have been something helpful. May have been the difference maker, but Alessandro opting to save that for later, though it may not be as impactful later in the game.
And we're seeing a focus action from Alessandro. We did see set explosives get discarded.
Yeah, I can't score it now because you have to hold at least 2, so unfortunate. Not knowing that Matt's had get it done, it was probably the right move to try and escape the threat radius there, being able to move back on, as you said. Keep chopping, scored, and one other
Field
card.
of Blood, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Fields of Blood. So up to 10 glory here for Mads. But not some upgrades. Cannot be flanked or surrounded is going on Herax, interestingly.
We got a 2 glory score here. Hard to see.
Players do seem to agree the score is 10-10, however.
It's a 2. That will mean no underdog here.
Means each player has a 50% chance to win the roll-off or priority. And I'll say I don't know what Alessandro would do with it, but I'm betting he wants to be able to make the choice.
Iron Grip.
Iron Grasp, yeah, staple card. You hold all tokens in friendly or enemy. He held all in enemy for 2. So trying to set that up with set explosives would have been a 4 glory end phase, and unfortunately not able to weather the storm there. The game is tied going into round 3.
Tied, although it does feel like Mads has the stronger spot right now. Herax at range 2 is going to be able to swing away at Kragan.
Yes, and Dromm can be able to make the charge. Kragan at full health. All right, so Mads' roll is a sword, which does beat the flanked. So Mads will have priority.
Mads now about 6 feet away from the table. I'd estimate that dice managed to bounce about 8 or 9 feet away from the dice tray. That was a powerful roll.
I mean, the Gorechosen are pretty swole guys, so don't know their own strength, perhaps.
Daniel Knight, checking results, thinks that Amon might be knocked out.
That's
a returning champion.
Amon was playing Miari's Purifiers. We were trying to get him on the stream, but certain circumstances did get in the way of that. Only Miari's Purifiers representative at the tournament this year, and yes, Amon has been eliminated by Matteo Zani of Italy. 42 to 26, so likely another 2-0. I know I'm on at a loss earlier in the event to a different Italian. I'm not sure if it was Matteo or not.
Looks like Herrick's lands an attack here, too. It's really coming down. Kragan is also staggered. Herrick's has that rune mark on his attack. So Kragan is 2 health. He's 1 successful attack from either of the Gorechosen, remaining Gorechosen fighters.
Dromm being able to put 3 damage out with Grievous means that Standfast won't save him, so you got to imagine that's what's coming next. And still, we have not seen Eye of the Gods to give him +1 defense. Not sure if Alessandro's waiting for the right moment or is forgetting.
I have to assume that he's not. There were multiple incredible moments to...
I've chosen to use it, yeah. Still tied, though. So if he does save it for just that beautiful moment, we could see that being the thing that wins in the game in this 3rd round. I probably would have used it earlier, but there's a reason, again, that Alessandro is playing in this tournament and I'm not.
Yeah. There's a reason I'm sitting next to somebody instead of across from somebody.
Yeah, exactly. All right, charging here into Dromm. Has a chance to kill him.
I have to assume that in those upgrades that we can't quite read, that there's no way that Utter Ignorance is in there. He's got to be going in and hoping that he can power through.
Yeah, why would he make this attack with Utter Ignorance?
14,
I don't know.
14 Blood Tithe.
Right.
We may see a big Final Frenzy roll.
4 swords with Inspired Kragan, and I believe there's a plus dice upgrade in there, so it should be 5 swords coming in here.
It's a lot.
There's 2 swords. 2 successes. Dromm only has 1 defense dice. No crit.
All right, so
that'll be 2 damage at least coming into Dromm here. You've got to imagine Final Frenzy's coming out next.
I must have had great fortitude because he is still alive.
Did he have a way to reduce the damage? He's on 6.
No, there. He just hasn't picked on. He's got to leave the damage on. Yep.
You have to leave the damage on because you have to come from your...
So before
you have to come back to a positive value. Yep. So in order to survive here, Mads is going to need at least 2 crits on however many dice he's throwing. I lost track of how many Blood Tithe.
He's dropped it back down to 0. I think we were in the range of 14. Big roll here.
All right.
So I think the odds are slightly in Mads' favor. He's on average will, but it's not terribly far off.
It is a dice roll. So Mads will need at least 2 crits to survive on what we believe to be 14 dice. So slightly better than average odds. But if he rolls 1 or fewer...
Alessandro laughing, handing some of his dice over so that this massive roll can happen.
Both players have agreed this is the correct number of dice.
This might be the match right here.
3 bounty on the line if he fails. I see well over 2 crits.
Wow.
Dromm amazingly healthier now after being hit than he was before he was hit.
Taking advantage of those magic dice in there too.
Remarkable. So double thumbs up. I mean, what more can Mads ask for?
Wow.
Dromm is now only having 1 wound on him. No bounty given over. And pretty good position to slay Kragan right back. So, I mean, you have to take that chance if you're Alessandro.
Absolutely.
I don't see any other way to victory. Is able to get himself out of harm's way with a drive back, as well as a push onto that token, then delving it.
Turning it into a cover token helps for the purposes of increasing the number of faces that are successes, but it also takes Eye of the Gods off the board. Yeah, Daniel, as I'm sure, because you've been on the chat for the stream many times, you've heard me mention that I think that there's warbands that are strong for fighter cards, warbands that are strong for war scrolls, and Dromm's is a warband that is strong for both.
And he pairs very nicely with the Reckless Fury deck, so pretty clearly the premier choice for this tournament, as many players came to that conclusion, either taking that or taking something to counter that. So we're seeing that shake out here. That, it does require some dice luck, but Dromm very well positioned to take this tournament, I'd imagine.
Healing Potion.
Healing Potion.
Unfortunately, not the underdog, so it's only going to be the one.
But, you do what you can do. At least Herax won't be able to kill him. Herax throwing 3 swords. Does have 2 upgrades. I'm not sure what they are. One sword, 1 reroll, 1 crit. And that could score Branching Fate as well, though Razik does have 2 successes, including a crit, so no damage. But yes, we're pulling those dice aside. Do we see Branching Fate out of Mads here? I imagine he would have put it down on the table if he had it. So, discussing no damage dealt, but you can drive him back. I think Mads wondering whether or not that's the right move. Looks like he's chosen not to drive him back.
Just a move.
And now he holds a token, the only one in neutral territory. Possibly there's an objective in his hand that asks for that, but...
We do know he's got some 1 glory scores for holding the right token.
Yeah, so he may be going for hold 1 or 2 to get 1 glory, which for all we know is going to make the difference here.
Dromm powering up. He must have some extra movement tech. Another upgrade coming out under the bright lights.
Going on Dromm, whatever it is, he's got 6 total upgrades now.
Man, on 10 glory, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, he doesn't have to pay for the one on Herix, or I mean, I should say on the Gore Hulk. There must be some extra movement in there. Almost certainly the +2 when you charge.
Headlong Charge, I believe, is the name in the Reckless Fury deck. +2 move when you're making a charge, only when you're making a charge, but the Gorechosen say that's just about the only move they want to make, so great card for them.
Are we going to see Eye of the Gods here?
If he doesn't use it now, when is he going to? Entirely possible that he's forgotten it's an option for him.
Mads dragging a whole bunch of dice over. An inspired Dromm is rolling 3 hammers. Looks like he must have 1 extra.
Mads doing some napkin math to make sure he has the right number of dice. Ah, here we go. Alessandro has finally elected to use Eye of the Gods, adding a defense die to his 2 shield that we know he's upgraded himself to. Dromm hitting on hammers, rerolling 1, 3 successes. That's 3 straight 3 hammer results out of him.
Oh.
2 successes is not enough.
He's got a reroll.
That's it.
Successes.
3 shield. Alessandro has phenomenal defensive skill across both of these games. Somehow rolling what he needs at just the right moment. So drive back is possible here, but no damage will be dealt.
We're pointing out something with... we missed. There was hidden aid.
So he was able to save 4 successes.
And Great Fortitude has kept him alive.
Great Fortitude has kept him alive.
Getting a score with the shocking assault. Mads can keep track of blood tie. There's not much reason to do so anymore. Everything that could spend it has spent it.
I think it's still good practice, though. I mean, we have
build the habits.
You'd rather not do it in the games where it matters. So if you do it every time, then you never forget.
All right, what is our Rube Goldberg machine for a kill here? I think it's got to be... I don't know if Razik just keeps walking away at this point.
It depends on what he has in his end phase hand, but yeah, we've got charged out, so he's not safe there.
Oh, you can see
counting whether he can run to a safe spot, though he will not be on a token. He's running as far away as he can. I would imagine he wants to end on a treasure token. And token 3 is available, token 1 is available, so if he's holding hold 1 or 2, he can score it by running. Alessandro considering his options. For his 3rd activation, he is going to take Kragan.
Counting a lot of
very long distance as well. I wonder if there's any power support to get him to move further. You got to wonder, why would he choose one area to run over the other? What are the threat ranges of each fighter? What move things does Mads have remaining? Are there any tokens he's trying to jump onto with that fourth and final activation?
I think one thing I found with these boards, when you're in the middle, if people have large movement characteristics, it's pretty hard to get.
You can get just about anywhere, yeah. Now, the Gorechosen will be able to walk after him being charged out, but they can't attack, and Rage has already been used. If we see, there is a power card I don't think we've seen yet, where a fighter may act as though they don't have a charge token, even though they do. So there is a potential charge out of one of the Gorechosen still, which might be why Alessandro is trying to find his way to get absolutely as far away as he can. So he'll be playing Confusion to switch their places, helping get a little extra distance from Dromm there. Mads running his hands through his hair. He thinks that might be bad for him. All right. Brave Sir Kragan bravely ran away.
Maddie, you can go on guard after charging. There's, in fact, a objective in, I believe, Countdown to Cataclysm.
It asks you to do the exact thing.
Oh, no, maybe I'm thinking of
Pillage of
Reckless,
Plunder or
Reckless Fury.
One of them has that, though.
But it wants you to have a guard token and a charge token. You lose any guard tokens that you already have when you charge, but if you have the ability to reactivate or power cards for it, you can get a guard token.
All right, so Alessandro currently in the lead by 1 glory and in ostensibly a safe position here. Mads thinking about his options. I think he's focusing here.
He is, yep.
Putting down 2 of each kind of card. Praying probably for that card that says, I'm going to pretend I don't have a charge token for just a minute here.
Do you think, I can't remember who's seen Arena Mortis yet. Right now, they're in 3 different territories.
Confusion may have been one of the things that stunted that, which is why we got that reaction out of Mads, as he said, I had Arena Mortis scored on my own. I don't care what you do.
Yeah, but he would have been able to just kind of move.
Why would you not have done that? Yeah, so I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what's in anyone's hand, especially now that we've seen a big focus. Still definitely anyone's game.
We tried a lot of different looks in the broadcasting booth this week, but it appears the Eye of the Tiger has drawn the most attention.
Yeah, our sportscaster suits on the first day did get several compliments, but cannot compare to these Tiger suits. All right, so as expected, Razik has run himself back around onto treasure token 1. If he's holding hold 1 or 2, that's a 1 glory end phase he can get.
Yeah, I think that's got to be...
Not sure there's anything else he could have in his end phase to score, but surviving... Holding a token.
Matt's shaking his head. He does not...
Mads didn't get the card he wanted. Yeah, I mean, you got to focus and try for it. But yeah, Mads appears to be frustrated that whatever card he was looking for has yet to make its way into his hand.
Still smiling, though.
Well, he did win the first game, so...
If Alessandro pulls this out after losing Khagra on...
Immediately, yeah. And having a Final Frenzy heal Dromm back up to healthier than when he started. We were told for 2 days we had to have Alessandro on stream, incredibly talented player. I'm starting to see why they were saying that.
Kragan here has got great, I think, full body strength. He's carrying an awful lot of upgrades and is running all over the board. So real combination of strength and stamina to lug all this equipment around.
Put the team on his back.
And the whole team.
All right. Matt's looking through what he's got, but playing a card.
Sidestep
To get off that token. Probably to try and score Arena Mortis, which will get 2. Put him 1 in the lead. Assuming that Alessandro gets 1 more, they'll be tied, and he'll win the tiebreaker.
Yeah, if they tie it up, though, then we got on a treasure token. Oh, there we go.
But Mads has scored 2 cards. One of those is Arena Mortis, and the other one... Can't quite tell. Oh, the Cataclysm counter. I had forgotten about it. So there's 2 more for Alessandro. Sigh of relief. Handshake across the table. sticking his tongue out. Alessandro has forced a third game.
That was a fourth. That's a 14-14 tiebreaker, I think. Incredible. Great play from both. They are going to be under the gun, though. They're down to about 40 minutes left in this round.
Yeah, if they go very fast, they can pull it off. If one or the other loses to or an important fighter right away. Some Italians on the side spectating, very excited to see Alessandro pull that one out.
Literally jumping up and down, clutching his fist.
This is Matteo, who just won his own game against Amon. I think that's the second time. Yeah, so Matteo and Amon have now faced off twice, and Matteo won both. Italy looking very strong right now. So he's hoping he can bring his teammate along with him. I'll check the Best Coast pairings and see what the third Italian was up to, if they've got their results in. Yeah, Daniele, actually, he won as well. The thrice full mirror match. So 2 out of the 3 Italians have advanced, and here we have Alessandro definitely in position to do so himself.
He's going to have to continue to play lights out.
A new national champion might be in the cards for us this year.
Well, I see. With 3 players, though, it still helps to have a lot of players in the mix. So,
yeah. 2 of them are into the top 8, and the other one's at least into the top 16.
Yep. Hard to say who's been more dominant in this tournament, Dromm, Gorechosen of Dromm, or the Italians.
Question out of Maddie from the stream here. If Alessandro wins the final game, how does the overall tiebreaker get resolved? I mean, the way that our first thing is, yeah, they've each won 1 of the first 2 games. Yes, it was a tie, but we do tiebreakers in the individual game to determine a winner, and that man was Alessandro.
Yeah.
So we have 1 win apiece. Whoever wins this third game, by whatever means they win it, is the winner of the entire match and advances to the top 8.
I'm really impressed with Mad's understanding of the situation. You could see he knew exactly, like, I'm in trouble, right? Like,
I need to focus.
Yeah.
When that confusion came out, he said effectively, now I have to waste time scoring Arena Mortis.
Yep.
And that's time I can't waste doing something else that might beat that tiebreaker that I know is coming.
Yep.
I think that's the moment that he knew it was over for him, well in advance of what we were able to tell.
Right. Confusion just confused me by and large, but we'll let the players get their shuffle.
Yep.
We'll take a look back. Just another incredible match.
Yeah. Notably, we will be having a roll-off again for who controls the board orientation and which side and which territory, because we're in our 3rd round here. So the winner of this one will have a pretty good starting position. And
I'm trying to read the Diego, who had that incredibly draining match right before bracket play, is over here. Well, he's come to his feet. His match is clearly over. The question is where he landed with that.
Let's see if I can find the answer for fans at home. Not recorded. I will update my page, see if it's come through.
He's playing against Yuri. Diego, I think, has been somewhat taken under the wing.
Yuri has won 40-30, so Diego knocked out, unfortunately. But he did make it to the top 16, which is commendable in itself. And not much more you can ask for. Making into the top cut at the World Tournament.
While his run to the podium is over, his day is not. He'll continue to fight.
He has yet to play the final matches. Yep. No matter when and where you lose, you play all of the matches in the World's Tournament.
One thing it's been nice to see, there's been some assistance from other nations over here in the Underworlds event. Diego has been on his own as the Chilean player, but the Spaniards have somewhat taken him under their wing.
Honorary team member there. They often confer between rounds to check in with each other.
During that long delay on the first day, I did see them sitting down with him, kind of walking him through some ideas on token placement, all that sort of thing.
Question from the audience about Jan Willy. How did he do? Let's see if we have results for him as well.
The irrepressible Jan Willy sporting Headsman's Curse throughout this.
His match is not yet recorded, so possibly going to a Game 3, and we'll see how that
goes. Jan Willy, who went deep with Gorechosen in Worlds last year, one of the few who didn't take him.
In fact, I see from this position, he is sitting down with Alistair from England. They are still quite intently playing their game. Too far away for me to get a good read on whose models are where. But they are still playing. So Jan Willy not out, but not necessarily advanced yet either.
Daniel Knight pointing at Jan stole a ticket. It must have been from England.
It was.
Yeah.
He came to England. He took their ticket, went to Worlds, and now an Englishman has the chance to get a little bit of national revenge and start singing it. It's coming home.
I'm actually not sure what happens if this game gets called for time. Maybe we'll be able to grab the judge's attention and just get that information for you.
Right. Let's head back to the board as the players start to set up.
We got all right. That roll off goes to Alessandro. Oh, I see.
Just checked in with the judging staff to make sure that we understand how timing is going to work going into this third game of the match. The chess clock is still in effect. They have 32 and 38 minutes each. I'm not sure which player has which, but let's assume they both used most of their time to take the best possible advantage. This game should finish within the hour, and I believe will still be able to be done in time. So hopefully we see a concrete resolution to this match and don't have to worry about any, hey, put everything down. Let's just see who has the lead now. Because I think for the sake of everyone at this tournament, we would like to make sure that the true winner of a true best of three is the one who advances. Treasure tokens are down, and Herax is on the board.
We saw Alessandro winning that roll-off and immediately saying, I'm sticking with this board. I'm sticking with this orientation.
It worked for him last time. That block hex came in handy at least once.
Yep.
I can't see why he would want to change.
I think,
so, notably, we still have only one token in neutral territory, which will affect a couple of scoring opportunities for him.
Yep. He knows exactly where he has to be for that.
I think with the ability of Dromm to stand in the between three tokens and dish out that range 2 hit, that block hex is huge. Alessandro learning that lesson quite clearly. We know he's defeated a Dromm in a best of 3 once earlier in this tournament, and has played 2 other Dromms before this match, so plenty of opportunity to learn which board and which orientation he has the best success with.
Razek in a spot that the Gorehulk will not be able to get to him without any power cards.
Oh, Razek has not yet been placed. That's actually Khagra up there.
Khagra, I'm sorry. Khagra a little more conservative this time.
Well, I mean, he did end up winning the game, but I'll tell you as a Khagra fan myself, you hate to see her go down before she inspires.
Yep. That's interesting. So now we've got Herax and Dromm deployed. It means that Gorehulk, if he wants to be far forward, is going to be down on this kind of southern edge.
So possibly able to protect Razek as well by putting him right next to Khagra.
Okay. Now I wonder if we see Khagra's overload that north edge of the board.
And the answer is yes. Yeah, stay away from the Gorehulk is the lesson. I do want to make a quick callback. We talked about it multiple times during the last game. Alessandro not using Eye of the Gods after multiple very juicy opportunities.
Yeah.
We kept doubting him. I actually verbally questioned twice. Did he even remember he has that ability? Proving me wrong, using it at actually the most pivotal point and securing himself the win for the 12th time this event. We will say there is a reason I'm not on that table.
We might learn our lesson at some point, but that day is not today.
Masterful work out of expert players this tournament. All right, immediately, Razek stepping back onto a token, desecrating, and getting himself just a little bit more distance from Dromm in case anyone has any ideas. Because we know Twist the Knife is in his deck.
Remind me, just Twist the Knife, it's any melee attack, right? You don't have to be adjacent.
Does not need to be range 1. Yeah. So Dromm can get it on his range 2. If he wants to put 2 damage on Razek, I'm not sure that would necessarily be the right option, but Wings of War is also in his deck.
Yeah.
So he could be able to close the distance more considerably than we expected.
I'm just saying that if they want to go after Razik, they're going to have the right 2 power cards.
Yes. And put yourself in a flanked position next to Khagra if you'd like to deal with it.
Also, getting Razik to make that step early means that Razik can't have Call of Blood used on him. And Mads has shown a willingness to use that quite early.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's important for Emberstone and to some extent Cataclysm scoring. Mm-hmm. It's important to Inspiration. It's very important for Alessandro to occupy these tokens, especially early in the game. Being able to do that with a move rather than a push means that, yes, Call of Blood is not an option and blocks out Arena Mortis if that's something that he's drawn into early.
There it is.
Call of Blood has come out, but like you said, Razik not an option.
So the Gorehulk still can't get in on anybody right out of the gate, but we do have the chance for if we have a charge which lands an attack, likely on Zarshia, generates Blood Tithe, generates another charge.
Gorehulk, of course, can move and then be enraged to charge after the fact. Not as efficient as 2 charges, but you are actually not safe from Gorehulk, even in this kind of deployment.
Yeah. He would need some kind of power card support, or that charge would have to come from the
Dromm interestingly blocking Gorehulk's charge range, if that is the case. But now he's in range of both fighters.
Yeah, he wants to
block access to that central token as well.
Zarshia continuing to see
2 crits, I think. Yeah, no point in rolling defense unless there's the perfect cut to be rolled. And he doesn't bother. Only 1 damage from range 2 uninspired, but Zarshia does take a damage and is driven back. Mads also scoring a surge. I'm not sure which.
It might
get
be
stuck in, I think, maybe.
Fearless something.
Frenzied Rush. Maybe?
Frenzied Rush.
Frenzied Rush. Score this immediately after an action step if friendly fighters with a total bounty characteristic of 3 or more have charge tokens that are in enemy territory. And all by his lonesome, Dromm has met that condition.
Now we've seen a willingness from Alessandro to start working on a kill on one of these guys. So he's going to come right back. There's 1 success there.
And a crit in defense from Dromm. Excellent work. So tie and stand fast, no drive back.
Again, it comes with the silver lining. Anytime that you don't land it, means that Blood Tithe wasn't generated at least.
Yeah, and he still was able to position her to get that second Desecration out. So, not what you necessarily would hope for, but he still was able to make something out of that.
Eric standing 2 hexes away, like, am I a joke to you? I'm right here.
Unfortunately, Herax, I think you might be a joke to some of us. An accurate joke, but generally someone we don't pay attention to unless we have to in this iteration of the Warband.
That said, decent accuracy, range 2 attack. I think uninspired, he can only do 1 damage at range, but can't be mad about the chance to drive somebody off a token.
All right, the other 2 Italian players here standing quite nearby, sending some positive energy Alessandro's way. Pretty sure it's dead of night in Italy at this point. So any Italian fans staying up late on a Saturday to watch, welcome, thank you. And can't be too much earlier in the night for Denmark. So Underworlds after dark, someone's advancing to the top 8. Both players, I'm sure, exhausted on their own time zones, jet lagged. And Khagra making a deep field charge coming in at Herax.
Counter charge or yeah. Yeah, this is a counter charge.
Counter charge to reposition her. Herax throwing 3 swords. It looks like a crit and a success with a reroll. And
that's going to have to go
not
through.
able to do anything about that. Takes a damage. Scores him. Surge gives him a blood tithe.
That surge is a critical effort.
And takes Zarshia off the token. Now, she did desecrate it before she was knocked off, but it does matter for scoring purposes. You imagine Alessandro is going to want to get back on that somehow. Khagra now in a good position with no tokens, however. So we'll see what she does with that. Having 2 desecration tokens means that he can choose to draw 2 cards. He can choose to push 2. Lots of utility here. And if they stay desecrated, which in all likelihood they will unless Herax makes a move, he will inspire at the end of the round as well.
Alessandro with the 2 despoiled or desecrated treasure that he needs for the Inspire. Herrick's, if he wants to, can start messing with that. I don't think I've seen Countercharge come out before in this match.
I'm not sure that I have either.
I suppose it makes sense. You know, there's a lot of occasions where you don't necessarily want to get closer to...
I would stay away from the Gorechosen if I had the choice, and especially if you're already on the tokens that you want to be on.
Wonder if that was something else.
Looking through the options here, I'm not entirely sure what it is that he used. Two crits for Alessandro, 1 crit for
back.
Mads, but that's not going to be enough. So there's 2 damage onto Dromm, driving him back next to Zarsha, while occupying a token, which he also desecrates. So excellent position for Alessandro to be in. Putting out some damage on Dromm, never a bad thing. And again, Khagra has yet to activate.
Yeah, the only challenge here is that Gorehulk is now in play.
Yeah, just confirming on the table itself, no tokens of any kind on Khagra. So she can activate, but yes, the Gorehulk can as well. Desecration is great, but you do kind of want to stay on that token for the purposes of some scoring cards. Alessandro spending his first War Scroll ability to draw cards. Now that he has 3, he wants to draw 3 now. We'll see if he gets something like Get Settled In to give a guard token and allow him to better weather the storm that's clearly coming as Gorehulk is headed his way.
Wings of War.
Oh, surprisingly, we're going to see if we can't take Razik out before he inspires again. This is the... At +2 move, he can make it to the charge. So if he hits this, that's a slain Razik. 2 hammers into 1 shield is a 50% odds. Mads clacking his dice against the table, thinking about his chances and whether or not he wants to do anything to adjust.
Oh, the guys, I bet he's considering.
All right, here it comes.
Oh, made the right choice.
Oh, brutal.
I think we're about to... Nope. Mads likes to take a look through for any possible...
See if there's anything he can do to get a reroll out of that, but huge swing. This will mean that Razik will likely inspire, and the Gorehulk does not get a kill. So that's 2 bounty he doesn't gain. Likely some power cards he doesn't gain, because he has set him up so for Arena Mortis if he got that kill like he did in Game 1. And
wow.
Yeah, Alessandro, ice in his veins, does not use Eye of the Gods once again.
He knows best.
Apparently he does, because that's the situation where I say 50-50 is not the odds that I like on a I could lose this game situation, but
I like
Alessandro
that,
must have much more tolerance for risk than I do.
Kragan runs onto that middle treasure token and
with the come at me bro stance, and the Gorehulk runs right past him.
All right, Khagra finally getting involved.
All right, she is taking a swing at a flanked Dromm. She does 2 damage base on her card. I'm not sure if there's anything else here. That's 1 success. Dromm on 1 shield.
Not getting it.
Failure, so that's 2 more damage on Dromm.
Wow.
Does give some blood tithe. Dromm is 1 wound away from being slain.
Now, don't forget, Enrage still hasn't been used. I bet we're going to see 1 more attempt on Razik's life here.
I would be surprised not to. Now, the question is, do you have...
we still have another activation.
Oh,
so.
Ooh. And Herrick's hasn't charged yet. Do we see him do that? Or what is it that Mads decides to do here? Passing power. Alessandro says, hold the line. Friendly fighters cannot be driven back in the next activation, so you have to kill me to get me off these tokens. I want all 3.
Alessandro fighting through this first round without any surges.
Comment in the chat, it looks like Jan Willie was the winner of his game. I'll take a look at Best Coast pairings to confirm that for you all. And yes, Jan Willie wins Surprisingly, with a score of 29-31, he actually had the lower glory total there. But it must have won that match 2-1 in an incredibly
you had to have won it 2-1, huh?
So Jan Willie will advance. Unfortunately, England's representative.
That feels fairly low scoring for a 3-round.
Best of 3, yeah. So I wonder how cagey they were playing.
Eric's deciding where he wants to go.
Another message from the chat here. Alessandro knows when the gods are watching. He doesn't know. He doesn't need to draw the eye if it's already on him, which is a fair point.
Stream table drawing a few spectators.
Yeah, as the other rounds finish up, people start to mill around the games that are still in play.
So if I'm not mistaken, I think Hold the Line is going to do the trick for this,
the
but
action step, but not during the power. So if he uses Enrage after this activation, he can knock someone back.
Alessandro's teammate bringing some refreshments. Kragan did eventually find himself the subject of an attack.
So Herak's going to show us why we shouldn't overlook him. 3 swords here. That's 2 crits and a reroll, still 2 crits, but on 1 defense die, and Alessandro again not drawing the Eye of the Gods. No chance to succeed here. Doesn't bother to roll the defense. Blood Tithe and damage, but can't be driven back thanks to Hold the Line. Still maintaining that token control. Has the potential for a big end phase glory score, unless we see something special out of Enrage coming up here.
If Alessandro's holding a healing potion, he is.
Judge has been called. We have a question at the table.
He's holding a healing potion. He's currently the underdog, and so he'll have the chance to heal twice. Judge coming confirming Alessandro is able to use that Hold the Line. I'm not sure what the question about it was. Maddie hoping to see Khagra's go through. With nothing at all against Mads, I think we all would like to see that for the possibility of fewer mirror matches.
Yeah, it sounds like several Dromms have already advanced, and as the field narrows, more and more Dromms will mean more and more mirrors. So if for no other sake than variety of Warband.
Do you think, yes, the gods are watching? Here we go.
All right, the gods finally deciding to watch here. Razak getting his 2nd defense. Gorehulk does roll 1 success.
This is what he wants to see.
And 2 successes for Alessandro.
Not only defending it, but staying. What?
I will tell you now. If there is a man in this tournament who knows how to roll himself some defense dice, that man is Alessandro.
Illusory Fighter coming out, it looks like.
Dromm
doesn't
getting
like
himself
where
out of
Dromm is
danger.
at. That makes sense.
He is vulnerable now, so smart to spare him. Question is, where does Mads want him to land?
Trying to buy some time until more Blood Tithe is collected up.
See if you can't get an inspiration before a Final Frenzy.
Yeah. I think in the last game of this match, we saw Mads let the Gorehulk die instead of pursuing.
Yes, he saved Final Frenzy for Dromm.
Yeah. Even when Gorehulk was sporting, he's illusory fightering right off the board.
Well, he's looking through his power hand to see if there's anything that'll influence his choice. But it's possible that the Dromm just ready to go home.
I don't know if you've ever played Unmatched Battle of Legends, but there is it's a
actually worth revealing now. Dromm does have Utter Ignorance on, but only has 2 glory, so he's actually spent in excess of the glory he has. I'm not sure when that happened or how we're going to resolve this, or if any of Herax's upgrades influenced previous steps. This could be a bit of a time sink to untangle. I'll admit I was not watching for that. I do not know the result of when those came out. I'm not sure if they affected play. It's going to be hard for me to comment.
Judges are going to try to help determine how this should be played out. I have to imagine that utter ignorance didn't come down onto Dromm until
after he took some damage.
danger.
Yeah,
but
may not have actually affected play if that's a recent addition.
Yeah. Stream's welcome to weigh in, but I don't think we can take that into consideration.
All right, I think Alessandro taking this opportunity to go get himself a bathroom break or some water. Judges conferring on the side, talking about what exactly the best resolution is. I'm not sure if either player knows exactly what went down when and what might have been affected. And obviously, we want to have the most fair and reasonable outcome with the information that we have. So,
Wigglefish, a person I trust implicitly on statistics and numbers, is letting us know that 4 Dromm, a Thricefold, a Headsman made it into the next round, and the winner here will. So that means there's one other match still to go.
That would imply there's at least one other unfinished game. Let me see if I can find out who that is and what they might be playing.
That's a good point. Dromm's card is actually hidden under the nameplates here.
Yeah, our video unable to capture that section of the board based on our nameplates we put up there, so really no idea what happened when.
Oh, Wiggle says 5 Dromm.
5 Dromm. That makes sense. Okay, so
this is the only game still going.
5 Dromm, 1 Thricefold, 1 Headsman. I know for a fact that there is at least 1 Thricefold coming into this final cut that had defeated 3 Dromms and never lost a game to them. I don't know if this is the same one. But there's at least 1 Thricefold player who has the answer to Dromm. And Headsman presumably chosen for the same reason. So.
And that player is Italian, is my understanding.
Well, that may be the case because the Italian Thricefold is the one who's proceeded. So if he has the secret sauce to getting rid of Dromm and can continue to replicate that success, then we may find ourselves with an Italian world champion.
Judge is taking some more time, and I'm not diminishing the importance of this decision, but it's not 100% clear to me what.
Well, so it's pretty clear that with 3 glory and upgrades out on the field, but only 2 glory in Mad's pile, he can't have them both. But the question is, which one does he need to put back? And when did he put them out? And did that affect any lines of play? I simply do not know. Davey heading over to check the table, talk with Mads a little bit, see if we can get some more clarity.
Herrickson has accurate is what's out on him.
Okay, and he did use that reroll for the attack, so that upgrade did influence the last round here, which did put some damage out on Kragan. So unfortunate if that was somehow part of the problem, but I'll admit I do not remember what happened when. And I cannot see Dromm's card on our stream, so we just don't know.
Sorry, folks. We're just giving what we can recall. The players are fairly certain that the most recently applied upgrade was Utter Ignorance, and we know for a fact that there was a reroll used from the accurate. So our suggestion would be that Utter Ignorance is just picked up. The judges sounds like they're concerned that, hey, how do we resolve this if Utter Ignorance was acting as a deterrent to further attacks? But from our perspective,
I don't think Alessandro is particularly deterred.
Yeah,
so
seems to have been happy to keep swinging away.
Should be easy enough to just take Utter Ignorance off of Dromm's card and continue playing as though nothing happened.
Yeah.
But again, at the World Tournament, we want to make sure we get everything as close to right as we can. Hate to have anybody advance who might not have deserved it. Not to say that everyone here doesn't deserve it, but
yeah,
you want to make sure the right person advances. And so the judges are doing some extra diligence to make sure that the right call is made every time. If I was playing back home, I might just say roll a dice on a hammer or crit and keep it.
All right.
But we can't do that here.
We have John Bracken going to give a ruling here. He is just barely off camera here. You saw his fingertips enter the screen oh so briefly.
The John Bracken.
With the magnificent mane of hair.
So it looks like the decision has been to take Utter Ignorance away. It's back into Mads' hand in the event he wants to use it for later. As far as I can tell, no harm, no foul. And we can get back to figuring out where Dromm is going to land now that he's been illusory fighter.
Illusory fighter multiple times this tournament with some big plays. I really do love that card.
Seems to be a very adaptable card. So Dromm is coming up. Does not have Utter Ignorance anymore, but can still be placed in a pretty safe position. And just about the safest one available got chosen. So can be Kragan charged next round, but otherwise pretty safe.
Well, I got to say, after all that exchange, they're both down to just one ability left on their War Scrolls, the usual Final Frenzy for the Gorechosen.
And the multi-push out of Khagra.
Whoa,
so we have Khagra scoring hold of specific tokens, slow advance, and set explosives for 5.
That's a big one.
So going from 0 to 5 quite quickly there in the end phase. We'll see if Mads is able to take anything to pull back.
Alessandro's going to inspire, and he's been operating without the help of any upgrades. He's going to have the chance to correct that at this point.
Only just now getting that glory, so making a decision what to do with that glory he just got, which power cards he'd like to discard. Remembering to inspire all of his fighters. Moving his Cataclysm tracker appropriately. Didn't come into effect here, but might in the next round.
Well, that's going to bump up 5, right? So is that enough to get him into a Cataclysm count of 2?
Let's take a look.
I think that is.
None of his fighters were slain, but Dromm is holding no objectives.
All right.
Start on the first.
Treasure, and they're all out.
4, 5. So yes, Alessandro has a Cataclysm value of 2.
Okay.
And that is, again, the break point for when things start to matter on the Countdown to Cataclysm deck.
Kabase, yes. Miari is out. Aman was piloting them. He got into the top 16 with a record of 3-3. And then took an immediate loss there, putting him out of the running for that top spot, and he's currently 3-4.
My understanding is Amon's only losses throughout the tournament coming to Gorechosen of Dromm.
Arena Mortis coming out, which now Utter Ignorance can go on.
All right, so it's almost like it never happened.
Mad's giving us a look for that.
Again, we do want to ensure that we do the best job, have the most accurate, most fair play. So, while in the end it didn't end up being consequential in any realistic way, it is the best, fairest way to play the game. We want to make sure both players are being kept honest.
Capasso should clarify. Amon did make the top 16. It's just that he lost in the opening of that bracket play.
Yes, Amon made the top 16, but did lose the first championship round.
I'd be curious if anyone else made it in with a 3-3. We've got Khagra's winning it with a hammer to a surrounded.
Right. So what do you think his options are here? Does he risk the inspired Razak charge to finish off Dromm?
Well, not finishing him off because
utter ignorance. There you go. Never mind. I've forgotten already about that. Right.
I wonder if you just dared Dromm to come in.
Alessandro taking the first activation. He's flipped his token. Has a couple of upgrades out on Khagra, but no one else. Khagra's throwing her range 2 attack into Herax is what it looks like.
Fair enough.
So that'll be 2 hammers. Or 3 hammers, I suppose.
There's some upgrades out there.
And he got a crit.
Duelist.
So a little confused about what's happened here. Oh, it was not Khagra. That was Razak with his 4 swords. Which is why we misread that situation. But nonetheless, damage has been done, and Herax has been driven back.
Yeah, Herax is in danger of getting smoked too here. Wigglefish helping us out. Jan, William, and David Lancaster, I think, would be the David in this case. We're both 3-3. I would say if anyone was more familiar with the tiebreaker situation than David Lancaster, a.k.a. Beard Arm, I don't know who it might be.
Substantial discussion about that last night at dinner and again this morning at breakfast. David has spent probably the last 15 hours thinking about tiebreakers.
Healing Potion only getting 1 back and choosing to get it on Herax.
Not a bad idea. Now Khagra will have to charge to range 1 to finish him off if she wants to.
Yep. What is the is Khagra doing 2 damage at range 2 right now?
Yes.
Wow.
With Grievous, so he can't use any other rune marks.
Right.
I was asked by someone else, how do you justify Khagra doing 2 damage at range 2? Where does that range 2 come from? The answer for the fans of the first edition of the game, she does carry a flame-tongue sword in a sheath on her back. Alessandro continuing his defensive dominance.
Kragan, real happy that he got inspired. That is going to score a surge for Mads.
Yes, Khagra draws a flame-tongue sword that can shoot fireballs out of her back.
Get stuck in. Yeah, I think that has to be it, right?
Yeah, because I don't imagine that the mace somehow has a go-go gadget extender.
Well, Gorehulk's arms do, so.
I suppose it's only fair. Maybe that's because he gets bigger when he's more excited. All right, choosing to stagger as many fighters as Cataclysm counter, so that'll be 2.
Value.
Herax an obvious choice, and the Gorehulk as well, since utter ignorance makes Dromm a less appealing target, especially at that distance.
Let's see, we got 5 blood tithe out there.
Now the question is, do you think?
Ooh, a sidestep.
Do you think Mads bothers using Final Frenzy to save Herax if he is the one?
Oh, not at all. I don't think so. I don't think we care that much about Herax. That would take him away from the Inspire for the 2 big guys.
Saving of a 1 bounty fighter who doesn't contribute as much offense. That's true. Checking what upgrades are on Khagra before he takes his action.
Mads must have detected that Alessandro was willing to just continue to make those range 2 attacks from the safety of the treasure token.
Yeah, so sidestepping out of the way, forcing her to charge for sure now. Because having Grievous meant that there was a capacity for her to do that range 2 damage and finish him off.
There's a delve. I think we can safely say that Khagra...
About to go on guard?
Yeah. Or...
perhaps about to charge.
Yeah.
Not sure.
It wants to be holding with a stagger in enemy territory.
You see what effect pushed Herax into that stagger hex?
I did not. I'm afraid not.
Regardless, they're within range of that 2. Oh, but she is charging.
Hmm. Oh, do we think it was the anyone within one of a?
Oh, it may have
Yep.
been. So
Yep.
this will be two hammers with a reroll. One
A
crit.
crit.
Herex needs a crit to live. And he gets it.
Would have lived on a shield.
Would have. No, Khagra's doing 3 damage at range 1.
But the
He's wearing
crit,
great fortitude.
shield will stop a crit.
Ah, that's fair.
Yep.
Still living in the past here, folks. Possibly great strength.
It is definitely great strength. The Gorehulk is swinging hard.
Razik at full health, but no longer safe.
Khagra now does have a stagger token and is on a treasure in enemy territory. So I think unless Mads does something about that right now, there's going to be a surge going. But I think he's more interested in trying to
yeah, seeing as
put Razik
hasn't charged yet, we do have a surrounded and a flanked result, which is a failure. And that'll score exactly that stagger on a treasure for 1.
Getting a rare shot of a player's face in there with Mads leaning in to get a.
Mads leaning back with a bit of a grim look. I don't think he likes where this is headed. Now he's down by 1. Missed 2 attacks in a row with the Gorehulk.
I don't have a strong feel for what Alessandro's best play is. Like, I think he likes his current position. I think he really wanted that attack to go through. I don't know what that leaves you right now.
Well, he has access to Supremacy. He has access to Slow Advance. He has access to set charges, which he's already scored.
Yeah.
I think he scored Slow Advance as well, so he could leave one of the tokens and get Supremacy. Might be a good idea to get Razik out of town, force a charge out of the Gorehulk. But it looks like he's just going to swing back. He is staggered, so you want to make advantage of that. But that does push him closer to Inspiration as well. And that is a crit and a success. No need to reroll. Failure for the Gorehulk. 2 damage and a drive
and without being inspired, it means the Gorehulk's going to have to charge to get back in.
Yep.
I forget that range 2 is only on the
inspired
side.
And Call of Blood has already been used, because as we've seen, Mads likes to use it early.
You know, we see some people will
but the Lure of Battle will draw him in, which is just as effective, and now still does not need to charge.
Does Alessandro?
He does have his War Scroll push. So if he wants to burn it now, he can push himself up to 3 hexes away. Or only 2, my apologies.
Time's on Alessandro now, so it is his turn to decide in the power step. He's considering his options. Power pass.
Passing. Alessandro knows when he's going to roll a good defense and when he needs to do something to save himself. So trusting to Razik's 2 shield here. And looking for a hammer. And the third consecutive miss. Mads, the poor luck. Shaking his head, putting his hand in the air.
Alessandro's Italian teammates bouncing up and down.
3 consecutive whiffs out of the Gorehulk. Just crippling.
We have 1 action left for each warband.
Rug, hands in the air. Not much more Mads can do. I mean, he has to make those attacks. And if the dice don't cooperate, then there's nothing else to do.
So Kragan going in. This is probably, well, no, not slow advance.
He's already scored slow advance last round, so he has no need to stay on that center token. He can still score for holding all in 1 territory.
Yep.
By getting onto that backfield token, which can include holding all in enemy territory. So there's possibly 4 end phase glory and supremacy tied up. So we could see up to 7 in this end phase if Alessandro has the right cards. And notably, would not need Razik to survive in order to have that work.
I think that's another miss. It looked like 2 flanked results.
Yeah.
This is exactly what Alessandro needed.
My 4th consecutive miss out of Gorehulk. Yeah, kind of stretching his neck out. I think he's kind of making peace with this. Same problem Griselzar and I had. They could pump the damage but not win tournaments because if the dice were not consistent. Even with a very strong Dromm, could it be the same? I suppose we'll find out. Thanks, Spinnerite, for that comment. I myself learned the hard way that Griselzar and I are incredibly dice dependent. I do think that this round of Gorechosen have a couple of tricks for some consistency and access to more opportunities to attack with higher damage than Grisel has. So Yes, while you live and die by the dice. I think they're a little better for this iteration of Gorechosen than they were for the old RNI, but Worlds has yet to conclude, and we do not know who will end up on top.
Help me out. What is a 2 hammer and a 2 shield attack?
You know, back in my day.
Do we know the stats on a 2 hammer?
I thought you were making a reference to me using the same terms again. 2 hammers into 2 shield. 2 hammers into 2 shield is going to be a 31.25% chance. So you should have gotten 1 after 3 tries, much less 4. But alas.
Oh,
4 damage with each attack. He's still.
See you later, Gorehulk.
Yep. Away he goes.
There are 4 desecrated, which means he gets to push 4 to get onto treasure.
Yeah, doesn't even have to take a move. So
I think we've got a big score coming up here.
I would imagine so. Like I said, there's a potential for 7 in the end phase, which is monstrous. I don't know that Alessandro has those cards, but he's about to take his 1 glory edge to much, much higher. All right, scoring phase. Alessandro scores Iron Grasp for holding all in enemy territory.
Yeah,
he does. He scores hold treasure token 3 or 4, and he scores
spread havoc.
Spread havoc, so his Cataclysm counter is high.
Yep.
So he's got 5 here. 3, 4, 5. We have not yet seen Supremacy.
He still has all fighters alive.
Yes. So
if he can keep drawing into defensive tech, he's going to feel pretty comfortable. And somehow the Gorechosen are not yet inspired.
No. Well, he's not doing him the favor of hitting him back as often as he'd like, and Gorehulk missing 4 consecutive attacks is really not the way to win this game. So, like I said, about a little over 30% chance to hit with those particular sets of dice. Making 4 attacks, you'd like at least one of them to go through.
That's keep chopping, which is definitely something Gorehulk did.
He chopped.
And we've got another upgrade going out on Dromm.
All right, clearing some tokens. Let's advance our round counter. 3rd game of the match. 3rd round of the game. And while Alessandro has a 5 glory lead, both warbands have all their fighters. And as we've seen before, Gorechosen can turn things around on a dime if they get some good dice. One hammer, I believe.
Yep.
And swords beat hammers in this iteration, so big roll for Alessandro. He'll have priority. You got to imagine he's going to take it.
I'm going to say yes, but what is the play here?
Well, I don't know. Inspiring the Gorechosen for fun? Maybe he does defer. He could go on guard. He could make another move to a different token. Desecrate all 5 as a flex. Checking out each other's scored cards just to make sure everything is...
It looks like Red Aftermath has been discarded, I think. Saw it in there. And
yeah, because you need some bounty, at least 2 bounty slain, and so far there's none for anyone. So
one really powerful thing for Alessandro right now is that with all 4 fighters alive, admittedly a couple that are wounded, he has more pieces that he can use to deny things like Arena Mortis.
True, yeah. If you see that he's working towards that, you just move a fighter.
On top of that, he's pushing pretty heavily into Mads' territory, which is going to make what am I thinking of? Bloody Momentum more challenging.
True. If he can get all the way out of his territory and vacate it into enemy, then there's the crit that Mads was looking for at long last.
Oh,
and there's the failure that Alessandro has so far somehow heroically avoided.
I don't think that's a failure. I think that's...
Oh, you know what? You're right, because this one was against Zarsha, who... So, yeah.
And it does score Shocking Assault for Alessandro, who is holding a treasure
middle
in
after
neutral.
His activation. I think if I had to boil it down, the story of this match across all 3 games is Alessandro
pretty good at defensive roles.
Defensive master. I mean, in his support, Khagra is a very defensible warband, but knowing exactly when to use defensive upgrades, knowing exactly when to get defensive rerolls and dice, and knowing when to just let his dice do the work for him. Phenomenal ability to guess what's going to happen next.
Mads got to feel the clock ticking away here. Well, both literally and figuratively.
If I'm Mads, I'm so upset right now, too. Because that's now 5 Gorechosen Gorehulk attacks, one of which he rolled a crit. There's really nothing else you can ask him to do. Deep sigh out of Mads here, which is understandable.
So, we were, unless I'm missing something, he did choose to defer, force the activation on.
Yes. Gorechosen took the first activation. Matt's counting how much glory he has out on the board before playing another upgrade. I think this is Blade Catcher.
Yep.
So keep the Gorehulk alive a little bit longer. Turn off Grievous, turn off Cleave.
Yeah.
Pretty good play here.
Just saying.
Khagra does have a range 2 Grievous, but she will not be able to use the Grievous anymore.
Yeah.
Doing just 1 damage at range 2 and making you wonder if it's even worth it because it takes you closer to Inspiring.
When you've got Final Frenzy, you really like to have that Grievous turned off so that you don't get overkilled by enough to make your heal harder.
Depending on what cards are in Alessandro's hand, I just start taking guard and move actions here.
Still going for it, still throwing attacks.
Why not? Let's put some range 2/1 damage on the Gorehulk for fun. Khagra throwing 2 hammers, but she has rolled a miss.
It's possible. I think that's a sign that Alessandro is very happy with where his
likes where he is. He may have just been trying to get the Gorehulk out of position.
We haven't actually seen this come out. We're seeing Kragan pick up Utter Conviction.
He now has a defense characteristic equal to the Cataclysm tracker, and seeing as 2 rounds in a row the Gorechosen have held no objectives, I imagine it's at least a 3 now.
Yeah, it's just barely off screen.
Yes, Cataclysm value of 3 right now. And then he's also did +1 save to a maximum of 2 on a different fighter. So lots of plus defense coming out on the field for Alessandro, hedging his bets against whatever Mads might try and throw at him.
I got to say, it's tempting to stop attacking at this point.
Yeah, why give him the inspiration?
Yeah.
Try and find ways to stay on the tokens you want. I'm taking guard actions from here on out if I'm Alessandro. Oh, and if I'm driven back, I'll get healed. Why not? Which fighter it goes on. Looks like that one goes on Kragan as well.
Kragan really determined to
keep holding that one in enemy territory. I think the only big score we haven't seen hold objective-wise is Supremacy. And I know he also has one of the hold numbered objectives left. I believe it's 1 or 2. Currently holding 1 and 2. So doesn't need Kragan to stay on there necessarily, but why give your opponent more options?
Second action step coming for Mads. Looked like he was planning on making a Herrick's play. Thought better of it. Or maybe wanted to rethink exactly how he's going to go about it. Herrick's not inspired. Has not yet done his cardio, which means he's only at a move of 3. We know he's accurate. And we'll go with Dromm instead.
Every day is arms and chest day, Davey. Don't you forget it. Dromm making a pretty sizable move here. Part of a charge. I think he has headlong charge.
Yep.
And he's now chosen to
not twist the knife.
This is determined effort, and he is the underdog. So +2 dice. Dromm throwing 4 dice here, looking for hammers. There's 2 hammers and a crit, so that's probably going to do the job here. Razik has, I think, 3 shield now. Just 2, but does get a crit, so he'll stand fast. No, not stand fast, but he negates the overrun.
Yeah. 2 damage. And crucially, when Mads remembers 1 more blood tithe.
1 away from Inspire, so yeah.
I got it.
Alessandro very disincentivized from attacking now.
Herrick's being the only one left. I wonder, I'd be tempted to
make a move action and get out of town. Oh, is he playing Confusion?
No. Oh, he does have confusion. But I think...
Okay. Unassailable is scored, though, because Warhulk chose not to drive. Dromm chose not to drive him back with the opportunity to do 2 damage again. I think that's the second time this match that's burned Mads, choosing not to drive back for more damage, but giving unassailable to his opponent.
Alessandro really tightening his grip on this game here and the match.
Incredibly tense play. I think I'm more stressed than the players. Matt's head on his chin. I think he sees what's coming. No point in charging.
That's the right play right there. Yep.
I'm on my way out the door.
Walking away, even if he finds a way to throw, even once Herix gets charged now, Razek is in a safer spot.
And notably, there's no value in this edition to doing it. But Alex of Madison, if you're watching, we're 1 power step away from 5 desecrated projective tokens. All right, chess clock has been tapped. Mad's turn. See what he can do with Herax to make the best of a bad situation. Defensive upgrades basically across the board.
Yep.
Every fighter where they need to be, except for Zarsha, who he doesn't need to do anything.
And yeah,
Gorechosen not yet inspired.
Kragan's
all his glory spent, nothing really he can do except for Hail Mary charge.
Kragan's sporting at least 3 block.
Zarsha out of range of the range 1 attack. He could try for range 2, 1 chip damage just for fun to inspire. But it looks like he's coming into Kragan just to see what he can't make happen. Charge. 3 swords with a reroll.
Into 3 block, I think.
Which is not a great odds. And
especially not that way.
Oh
my.
You just can't buy a win. Mads has had his dice completely abandon him this game. You feel for the guy. Tapping the chess clock in resignation.
And as we saw in that first game, it doesn't take a whole lot for the Gordy, because they had a slow start in that one too. But once they finally
got
turned
going,
it around,
it was off to the races.
Yep.
Not being able to inspire here with Alessandro accurately understanding when to stop attacking.
Yep.
Been living on a prayer that he just cannot get that hit through. I think Khagra's uniquely positioned among warbands we've seen at this tournament to be able to weather this kind of storm.
Yeah.
If you can get that inspire off, which is relatively reliable in this edition, they are so hard to take down.
Yeah. If you told me that there was 7 damage scattered across the Gorechosen and 5 damage scattered across the Ravagers,
and yet
you told
no
me
fighters out of action,
and no one out of action, and on top of that, no inspiration, no the blood tithe was still at 7. Whew. We got the final action step for Mads. He's looking at his hand. I think he's got to be thinking about a he's counting out how many remaining. I think we're going to see a focus here.
Yeah. Sometimes focus can win you the game, but
not here, I don't think.
Exactly that right set of cards. Here comes that focus. We've got 1 objective and 2 power cards being tossed. See if Mads can get whatever it is that he's digging for.
I think Alessandro's breathing pretty easy at this point.
Both of the other Italians actually leaning over the table at a distance. Trying to get a better view without interfering with play.
Wow. Spinnerite's wife is asking if I'm Principal Skinner from The Simpsons with this voice. I really don't know how to feel about that.
If I had to pick a Simpsons character, he's a good candidate, though. I had never thought of it myself.
Might have some Vietnam flashbacks here, though.
All right. Interestingly, Alessandro attacking. Rolling a crit and 2 successes.
I think that might just be one crit. If who knows? Where was it coming from? The invigorated French not too far away. Yeah.
So hitting Dromm to take away Utter Ignorance, but not dealing the damage. So not inspiring. Interesting.
Oh, damage appears. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, does get the inspire.
So he does inspire.
Because the damage is dealt first prior
and then
to.
the heal happens again. So you must wonder, I mean, what is Alessandro going for there? I think he tried to score a surge, but I don't know, man. I mean,
it looks like he did because it scores at 14.
He must believe he has a very comfortable lead because I would not voluntarily inspire the Gorechosen at any stage of the game.
I think the Gorechosen have no actions left. Am I right?
Oh, is that so?
Yeah.
He already took his fourth and final.
Yeah. I could be mistaken.
The result of Mads' focus got him if that's anything he can do here.
Oh, that might have been a power card attack, huh?
Oh, do you think that was improvised weapon?
I think it might have been an improvised weapon. 3 dice would make sense.
That does. All right. Alessandro to take his final move, occupying that center token with Zarsha. He now has all 4 fighters alive. All 4 fighters.
Oh, he's going to have Zarsha attempt to finish off Dromm for style. 1 success.
And that's a failure for Dromm. So that's 3 bounty there as well.
Well, we'll have Final Frenzy.
Final Frenzy's coming in. We have 9 dice. So
There's
for
2
him to
damage.
survive, I think he just has to roll the 2 crits. Zarsha doing 2 damage. So odds are low, but they can happen. We've seen crazier things happen before. I see none.
Nothing at all.
0 crits. Well, I don't think there's anything Mads can do except for look at his dice when discussed. Because this entire game, really just very little he could get out of them. So Dromm is slain, 3 bounty to Alessandro. And if I'm Team Italy, I'm smiling right now. Alessandro leaning back in his chair. I think he's finally allowed himself to believe he has this. Mads dropping the card he scored. There's Supremacy and the handshake. Powerful
21-7. My goodness.
All right, it looks like they're recording scores in BCP. I think the last game out of this round of the top bracket.
I think the viewers at home are going to be happy to see Khagra's advance. Mads played a great game, and not to take anything away from Alessandro's win because he was doing the things he needed to do. But man,
gotta feel bad about those guys.
Yeah, you gotta feel for Mads there. So
well, what we can say now is that of the top 8, we still have 5 Gorechosen. We have 1 Thricefold. We have 1 Khagra, and we have 1 Headsman's Curse. So from here on out, you're going to see some duplicated warbands on the stream. We have shown all of those at least once before. We'll probably try and catch the Thricefold or perhaps the Headsman next, since we've only showed that once.
Yeah.
And we'll figure out what those pairings are when they come to us. You may hear in the background some very excited Italian banter. All 3 Italians advance.
Slippy, I think we will commit to trying to find Thricefold for the stream.
Thricefold is the Italian player who notably has defeated several Gorechosen of Dromm in a row.
Absolutely.
For those of you at home wondering, what am I supposed to do about this besides pray for bad dice? We may find a lesson in some expertly played Thricefold Discord, and that could teach us what to do next. All right, let's go ahead and put ourselves on the screensaver here. Actually, Alessandro, do you want to come wave to the fans at home?
Come give a wave
here. Tell all your friends and family at home what
yeah.
Come have a seat here.
Okay.
You're not going to be able to hear. You just talk. You won't be able to hear me, so you just talk.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead. How was it?
Good. It's very strong match.
Yeah.
My opponent, the last match, failed a lot of attack.
Yeah.
And I play in this way that I see that he failed and I attack the same warrior.
Mm-hmm.
And but my objective is always in your part, in the enemy territory.
Yeah.
And for me, it's good because attack me, I stay here. Yeah, I'm very happy because for me, it's a rematch.
Yeah.
And I win.
Yeah.
It's a good player, Mets.
Yeah.
We call a lot of time the judge, but yeah, I'm very happy and thank you.
Of course. I could see your teammates behind you. They were more excited than you were.
Yeah.
That's all the Italians.
Yeah, we are a great team.
Yeah.
Well, we're free.
Yeah.
We stay on the next round. We won. It's very good results for us.
Tell me, we were trying to figure out what's more dominant, the Gorechosen of Dromm or the Italian Underworlds team?
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Our match?
It was great. We loved in the second match. You lost Khagra so early and just retained that.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
At the start, when I saw that I lost two, Khagra and Zarshev. Okay, now it's very hard, but we can try.
There's a way, yeah. And what was impressive about Mads is that he knew how powerful your scoring was. There was a play that Fish and I were watching. There was a confusion play, and we saw Mads lean back. And
the confusion, and they move. Yeah, because at the end, he didn't play sidestep and the commanding stride. And if I make only a move, you can use commanding and sidestep on sidestep and commanding.
Yeah.
Okay, the only way is use confusion and move.
Yeah.
He move to 4 and they have extra mile 5.
Yeah.
And he won't move in an objective. I can move in another objective.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, but this deck I love.
Yeah.
But it's very difficult. My brain goes now.
I believe it. Hey, listen, you guys played a really long game, an amazing match, and I want to congratulate you, and I want to give you a chance to rest and recover for your next one. So go celebrate.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being on the stream. It was great.
Can
say hi to Italy.
Please
do. Say hello to say hello to Italy.
Ciao ragazzi, voglio salutare tutta l'armata, i ragazzi del Team Italy e anche i ragazzi del mio gruppo di Warhammer Underworlds a Roma e Civitavecchia. Dai!
Thanks. Let me try it again. Mads, great match. Took it to 3. How do you feel?
I obviously feel a little defeated.
Yeah.
But I feel like I played to my best, especially in game 1 and game 2.
Yep.
It is a rough matchup because they can, as we saw, they can score a hell of a lot more glory than I on the objectives. Like in the same game, he didn't kill a single of my fighters, and I think I killed all but one of his fighters and scored all of my objectives, and he still won. No, that's not true. But he didn't kill a single of my fighters and still won.
Yeah.
At the
game
1 was easy. Game 2 it started out insane with me just like charging his leader and just like stabbing him out of existence. At the end, in the 3rd round, like I had 2 surges, strong start and make an attack on enemy fighter in enemy territory. Neither of them went through.
Yes.
Then I focused because I knew I had I needed some kind of positioning to get both fighters into my territory to score I have 2 friendly fighters in enemy territory with combat bounty 4 and more.
Yeah.
And there was also another end phase for 1 I could draw. I drew the push. I drew the 1 for 2, but the 1 for 1 was 1 card too deep.
Yeah.
And I had more than 1 push, but there was no way for me to be on an objective in tiebreakers or whatever objective he had.
Yeah.
And be in having 2 fighters in enemy territory. So just like my luck went downhill at the second game. And third game was just like everything went.
And what was impressive about that was you knew the board state so well. You knew what was coming because we saw that confusion play, and we ourselves were confused. Like, I don't know what that actually gets him. And then we looked at you, and you went, and we said, Mads knows how big that was. It must have been important. And that's impressive to understand the matchup, understand the situation so well.
You.
So your run through the top bracket, the podium is now not available for the #1 spot, but your day is not over.
Yeah.
You still are fighting for the pride of your country, and you after your brain is melted down, you got to keep playing.
Yeah, unfortunately, I will almost say.
Anyone you want to say hi to here?
Yeah, shout out to Copenhagen, probably Anders, Mikkel, Thomas, maybe Danny. I'm probably forgetting someone.
That's good enough.
But I'm afraid to open my phone because like we have me and Jonas, also a Dane. We have a small but very solid community in Copenhagen.
Yep.
And we have just like been chatting with them nonstop because they're very like engaged and living through us at this tournament. So I have like messages.
All right. Well, listen. Thanks a ton for being on stream. It was great to watch you guys play. It was really high quality.
Fun.
And we knew we were going to get more Gorechosen. So you're actually only the second Gorechosen player we've seen playing, and so it was you were only the second Gorechosen we watched playing on the stream.
Good choice. Yeah.
Because we knew we were going to see some more here.
Eventually, you're going to see some, I think.
Yeah.
What is your prediction about the top 8 or top 4? Maybe even the winner?
Well,
Gorechosen the winner, or is there a certain Warband that?
That's a great question. I think, and I'll ask Fish when we get him back. But I think Thricefold, Italian Thricefold player, he has demonstrated the ability. He's beat multiple Dromm Warbands. So I think I might put it there. Smart money.
3 tries for Discord on the way here, but all the matches were close.
Yeah. Give me some insight there. What do you think makes that so close? Oh. Okay. I gotta let you go. I'm sorry. It looks like they're setting up the next pairings here. So
I would rather talk than play, honestly.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.